Hey everyone! Tonight we're diving into a story that sounds like pure fantasy, but it's one of history's most fascinating and, frankly, baffling true stories. We are going to trace the life of an African man who was ripped from his homeland, traversed the globe, and somehow, against all odds, became a samurai warrior in 16th century Japan. Imagine being dropped into a world so alien it might as well be another planet. A place with a completely different language, culture, and code of honor, and not just surviving, but earning the respect of the most powerful warlord in the land. It's a journey of unimaginable displacement and resilience, and let's be honest, you probably wouldn't survive this. The sheer culture shock alone would be overwhelming, to say nothing of the plagues, the warfare, and the complete lack of decent Wi-Fi. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. It's always nice to see the numbers go up, but it's better knowing you're actually enjoying the journey. Go ahead and post your location and local time in the comments. It's always fascinating to see where everyone is listening in from. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You don't know your name is Yasuke. That name doesn't exist yet. And the person who will give it to you is on the other side of the planet, living a life you can't possibly imagine. Right now, you are just you. You are a young man, impossibly tall, living somewhere in 16th century Africa. And the very first mystery of your story, the very first blank page, is where, exactly, you are a ghost in the records. You don't appear in history until you are already someone else's property, and by then, your past has been deliberately erased. Historians still argue whether your story begins on the sun-baked coast of Mozambique, in the ancient highlands of Ethiopia, or somewhere along the vast Nile River in Sudan. Each theory paints a different picture of the life you were stolen from. Let's imagine for a moment you are in Mozambique. You are perhaps one of the Makua people, living near the coast. You've seen the ships. They are bizarre, floating fortresses, their white sails like strange angular clouds against the endless blue of the Indian Ocean. These are the Portuguese carracks. By the 1570s, the Portuguese have been aggressively carving out a maritime empire for decades, and their trading posts, which are really just lightly disguised forts, dot the Swahili coast. They're here for gold, for ivory, and increasingly, for people. You live in a world defined by the smell of salt and cloves, the humid, heavy air that sticks to your skin, and the rhythm of the monsoon winds. Your life is tied to this coast, but you are not a mariner. You are a warrior, a hunter, or maybe just a farmer. You are strong and you are tall, so tall that it makes you a curiosity even here. Or perhaps you're not from the coast at all. Another theory, one that leans heavily on your recorded height, places your origin in the highlands of Ethiopia or the southern regions of Sudan. You could be Dinka, or perhaps Shilluk, part of the Nilotic peoples who are, as a group, among the tallest on Earth. If this is you, your world isn't the ocean. It's the wide savanna, the river, the cattle. Your skin is dark, described in later accounts as like charcoal, and your height is staggering. We're not talking tall for your time. We're talking well over 6 feet, in an era when the average man in Europe or Japan was lucky to clear 5'5". You are a giant. It's a physical trait that will define your entire existence, a walking spectacle. This whole theory is a bit of a quirk, basing your entire origin story on a single physical feature, but it's a compelling one. Maybe you're from the Fungi Sultanate in Sudan, a powerful state that controls the Nile Valley. This is a sophisticated society, a crossroads of African and Arabic cultures, a place of trade and Islamic scholarship. If you are from here, you are perhaps already familiar with a wider world than a coastal village might offer. You might have seen merchants from Cairo, or felt the influence of the Ottoman Empire, which is busy expanding its reach just to your north. The truth is, we will never know. You have no birth certificate, you have no childhood friends who wrote memoirs. You enter the historical record not as a person, but as cargo. And the name you are eventually given, Yasuke, is another clue that leads nowhere. Is it a Japanized version of an Arabic name, like Yasuke? Is it a twist on a Portuguese name you were given, like Izake, the equivalent of Isaac? It's like trying to reconstruct someone's entire life from a single blurry photograph where they're standing in the background, out of focus. You're left with more questions than answers. What we do know is that your life, whichever of these it was a whole one. You had a family, you had a language, you had skills. Maybe you could track an antelope for 3 days or build a shelter, or identify the medicinal properties of 100 different plants. You understood the spirits of your homeland, the hierarchies of your village, the weight of a spear in your hand. And none of it matters now. Because the 16th century is a brutal time to be alive, and the world is being violently connected not by friendly trade missions, but by the iron links of chains and the insatiable greed of empires. Your impressive height, your strength, these are not assets for you. They are selling points. They make you valuable property. And someone, somewhere, Arab slavers cutting inland, Portuguese merchants on the coast, or rival warriors who know the price a healthy captive can fetch, is about to cash in. Your world, the only one you have ever known, is about to be extinguished. The ground beneath your feet is about to be replaced by the rolling, sickening deck of a ship. The end of your world isn't a slow fade. It's an explosion of noise, smoke, and confusion. It comes not as a creeping dread, but as a sudden, violent severing. One moment, you are walking a familiar path, the scent of wood smoke or drying river mud in the air. The next, there is shouting in a language that isn't yours. It's Portuguese or perhaps Arabic or a dialect from a rival people just 100 miles away, acting as middlemen. There's the sharp, terrifying crack of an arquebus, a sound that shreds the air. It's a sound of pure, technological terror. You haven't just been ambushed. You've been ambushed by the future. You try to run, or perhaps you try to fight. Your strength, your height, they just make you a more valuable prize. It's over quickly. You are bound. Your hands tied with rough fiber or leather that cuts into your wrists. You are thrown together with others from your village. Or perhaps you are the only one surrounded by strangers who share only your terror. The journey begins. You are marched. This isn't a walk. This is a forced march. Part of a coffle, a living chain of human beings yoked or tied together to prevent escape. The sun beats down. The dust cakes your skin, mixing with sweat and tears. You are moving away from everything you know, every landmark, every familiar sound, and towards something you cannot even conceptualize. The only comfort is the misery of others, the person stumbling in front of you, the person being dragged behind you. It's a terrible, silent community of the lost. This is the 16th century global slave trade, and you, in your 21st century mind, might be picturing the horrors of the Middle Passage, the triangular trade between Europe, Africa, and the Americas. But you're on the wrong side of the continent for that. This is the other trade, the one that has existed for centuries longer, the Arab and the Portuguese trade routes that turn the Indian Ocean into a marketplace for human lives. You are not being sent west. You are being marched east to the coast, to one of the Portuguese Vitórias, trading posts, that cling to the shores of Mozambique or Kenya. These are the gears of a massive, complex machine. Historians still argue whether you were captured in a raid specifically designed to acquire slaves, or if you were simply the unlucky byproduct of a local war sold off by the victors to the Portuguese in exchange for firearms, the very weapons that probably sealed your fate. It's a vicious cycle. Buy guns with people, use guns to capture more people. You finally arrive at the coast. The smell is the first thing that hits you. The sharp, unfamiliar sting of the vast ocean, mixed with the gut-wrenching stench of the place you are taken. It's a holding pen, a barracoon, a stone-walled enclosure, or a simple wooden stockade where the cargo is kept until the next ship arrives. Here, you are inspected. Your teeth are checked, your limbs prodded, your height measured and marveled at. You are a prime specimen. Your captors know you will fetch an incredible price, not for labor in a field. You are too valuable for that. But as a curiosity, a bodyguard, a status symbol for a wealthy owner, this is where you might get a taste of the era's bizarre fringe obsessions. You see other items being prepared for shipment. You are cataloged alongside ivory tusks, sacks of aromatic cloves, bolts of bright Indian cotton, and maybe even a cage of screeching monkeys. This is the mundane reality of the trade. On the ship's manifest, you are not a man. You are an item listed between spices and textiles. It's all just merchandise heading for the global market. You are given food, just enough to keep you alive and strong. It's a bland, unfamiliar mush. You are surrounded by people speaking a dozen different languages, a babble of despair. You learn the new rules quickly. Don't make eye contact. Don't resist. Detach your mind from what is happening to your body. It's the only way to survive the trauma. You are living in a state of suspended animation, a waking nightmare. You have been unmade. Your family, your skills, your past, all of it has been rendered meaningless. You are now defined by a single, crushing fact. You are property. The day finally comes. The great gates of the barracoon swing open. You are marched one last time down to the beach. The sand is hot, then cool and wet as the surf washes over your ankles. In the bay sits the ship. It's a Portuguese carrack, and it's a monster. It's one of the largest vessels in the world, a floating castle of wood, 3 or 4 masts scraping the sky. It's a masterpiece of engineering designed to cross oceans and carry immense wealth. And you are part of that wealth. You are prodded toward a small boat, rowed out through the surf, and then forced up a swaying rope ladder or a narrow gangplank. Your feet touch the hot, splintery wood of the deck. The ship smells of tar, salt, bilge water, and a deep, underlying human misery. This is your new home. This is your new world. And it is, in every way that matters, a prison. You can't even imagine where you're going. India, China, a place called Japan that you have never, ever heard of. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is the sickening lurch in your stomach as the anchor is raised and the huge sails fill with wind, pulling you away from Africa. Forever. The land disappears. First, it's a green and brown line on the horizon, and then it's just a memory. Your world shrinks to the confines of the ship, and for you, it shrinks even further. You are not a passenger, enjoying the salty air on the upper decks. You are cargo and you are kept below. The darkness is absolute, a thick, hot, moving blackness. The air itself is your first enemy. It's a toxic soup, thick with the stench of unwashed bodies, human waste, seasickness, and the ever-present sour rot of the bilge water sloshing somewhere beneath your feet. The only light comes from a few grates, far above, that cast weak, shifting squares of daylight onto the bulkhead, marking a time you can only feel, not see. You are chained, perhaps to a bulkhead, perhaps to the man next to you, a stranger whose language you don't share, but whose quiet sobs in the dark you come to know as well as your own. The ship is alive. It moans and groans around you, the wood straining against the pressure of the Indian Ocean. This is the Carrera de India, the India Run. This is the mainstream established shipping lane of the Portuguese Empire, a brutal months-long marathon designed to do one thing: move staggering amounts of wealth from east to west, and the tools of control from west to east. You are on the wrong end of that equation. You are part of the wealth. Days blur into an agonizing rhythmic monotony. Darkness, noise, fear. You are fed once a day a ladle of foul-smelling mush, just enough to keep you from dying. The water is just as bad, stored in wooden casks, warm, slimy, and tasting of rot. Every lurch of the ship sends a fresh wave of nausea through the hold. And then there are the storms. You have never known terror like this. The ship becomes a toy, lifted and dropped by invisible, mountainous forces. The wood screams, a high C-pitched shriek of a structure about to disintegrate. You hear the panic from the sailors above, shouting in Portuguese, the frantic ringing of bells. You are chained in the belly of a dying beast, with no way to escape, no understanding of what is happening, only the certainty that you are about to be plunged into a cold, black, watery grave. But you are not alone in the cargo hold. This is the quirky and disgusting reality of 16th century shipping. These carracks are the FedEx of their day, and they ship everything. You are packed in near cages of screeching monkeys, crates of exotic birds, and maybe even a few terrified horses, all destined as gifts for potentates in India. The air is filled with their sounds, their smells, their fear, worse than the animals or the spices. Bales of pepper and cloves are stored nearby, and their dust fills the air, making you sneeze until your ribs ache, your eyes watering constantly. Joke 1. It's the world's worst roommate situation. You've got seasick monkeys, sneezing fits, and a whole lot of despair, 0 out of 5 stars. You are, of course, valuable, so once every few days, if the weather is clear, you are unchained and marched up onto the main deck. The sudden, blinding sunlight makes you recoil. The clean, salt air is a shock, so fresh it feels like swallowing ice. You are pushed into line with the others, your eyes squinting against the impossible blue of the ocean, a desert of water in every direction. The sailors, rough men with sun-scorched faces and missing teeth, hose you all down with cold seawater. This isn't for your comfort, it's to prevent disease, to keep the cargo presentable. For a few minutes, you are almost human again, breathing real air, feeling the sun. Then, you are herded back down into the suffocating dark for another week. Historians still argue whether you were an anomaly on this journey. Were you the only African on this vessel, a singular, towering figure who drew stares from the crew? Or were you just one of many, part of a larger contingent of slaves being funneled toward the massive markets in Asia? We'll never know. Your presence is only recorded later, so this voyage, this floating hell, is a complete blank. After months, an eternity that has scoured your mind and weakened your body, something changes. The rhythm of the ship shifts. There is a new energy, a different kind of shouting from the decks above. Then you hear it, the thunderous rattle of the anchor chain. You have stopped moving. Hours later, you are brought on deck. You are not prepared for the sight. It is Goa, the capital of Estado da India, the Portuguese state of India. It's a city exploding with life, a chaotic, overwhelming fusion of Europe and Asia. The harbor is thick with ships from as far away as China. The architecture is a bizarre mix of whitewashed Portuguese churches and Hindu temples. The smell is a punch in the face. Cardamom, incense, turmeric, pepper, all mixed with sewage and rotting fish. The streets are a river of people. Portuguese noblemen in silks, Hindu merchants with bright turbans, half-naked holy men covered in ash, and elephants, actual elephants painted with elaborate designs, sharing the road with cows and goats. Joke 2. It's the most intense, overwhelming, and frankly pungent city you've ever seen, and you've just arrived after 3 months of not showering. You fit right in. You are marched off the ship, your legs buckling on solid ground. You are taken to a market, washed, oiled, and put on display. You are a curiosity. Your height, your build, your skin. People point, they marvel, they inspect you. Joke 3. You've gone from being cargo to a high-end luxury item like a 6'6" decorative vase that can also snap a man in half. You are in India, a place you couldn't have imagined, sold in a market you don't understand. You have survived the ocean. You are still alive. And it's here in this chaotic, spice-choked city that your true story is about to begin. You just have to be bought by the right person. You are on the block. The auctioneer, a fast-talking Portuguese merchant, is extolling your virtues, pointing to your height, your muscles, the strange, captivating darkness of your skin, which many in the crowd have never seen up close. You are an exotic marvel, a piece of living merchandise from the least-known continent. You stand silent, your eyes downcast, a strategy you've learned for survival. You're an object, and objects don't make eye contact. The crowd is a swirl of smells, sweat, perfume, spices, and the humid, oppressive heat of Goa makes the air shimmer. You are paraded, turned, your arms lifted to show your strength. It's the ultimate humiliation, a reduction of your entire being to a set of physical attributes. You are worth exactly what the highest bidder is willing to pay. Then a new figure approaches. The crowd parts for him, a ripple of deference. This man is not a merchant or a slaver. He is European, tall for his time, though nowhere near your stature. He is dressed in the severe black robes of a Jesuit priest. But he doesn't carry himself like a humble man of God. He moves with an air of absolute, unshakable authority. This is Alessandro Valignano, one of the most powerful men in the Jesuit order. His official title is Visitor of the Jesuit Missions in the Indies, which is a deceptively simple name for a role of immense power. He is essentially the Pope's personal inspector and strategist for all of Asia, from the coast of Africa to the islands of Japan. Valignano looks at you. It's not the leering, speculative gaze of the other bidders. It's an assessment. It's the look of a grand chess master evaluating a new piece. He sees your height, your power, your utter foreignness. And in you, he doesn't just see a servant. He sees a statement. Valignano is a proponent of a radical idea for his time: cultural adaptation. This is the mainstream fact of his life's work. He believes that to convert Asia, the Jesuits can't just be Europeans, they must become Asian. They must learn the languages, adopt the customs, and present themselves not as conquerors but as equals. He is a pragmatist, a brilliant strategist, and he knows that power respects power. He's on his way to Japan, a country consumed by civil war, and he needs to make an impression on its hardened warlords. What better way to show his global reach than to arrive with an attendant no one in Japan could have ever imagined? The bidding concludes. A sum is paid. You have a new master. Historians still argue whether Valignano acquired you specifically as a bodyguard, a simple valet, or more cynically as a calculated piece of theatricality to awe the Japanese. Whatever his motive, your life pivots in an instant. You are led away from the stench of the market and into the quiet, orderly confines of the Jesuit compound, the Colegio de São Paulo. Your chains are removed. You are scrubbed clean. Not the rough hosing down of the ship, but a proper washing. You are given clothes, a simple, durable livery, the uniform of a Jesuit attendant. It's a Gilded Age cage, a clean, well-fed form of servitude. You are no longer starved. You eat regularly, the same food as the other attendants. You are given a place to sleep, a straw pallet in a clean, dry room. It's the most stable your life has been since your capture. But you are still property. Valignano owns you as surely as he owns the crucifix around his neck. Here, in this sprawling college, you begin a new kind of education. You are not taught to read or write, but you are taught to be. You learn to anticipate your master's needs. You learn to stand silently, but imposingly, just behind his right shoulder. You learn to open doors, to carry messages, to navigate the complex, silent hierarchies of the Jesuit mission. And you learn language. You are a survivor, and survivors are sponges. You absorb the sounds around you. You pick up the essential commands in Portuguese. You hear the local Konkani language in the street, perhaps some of the Japanese being studied by the younger priests preparing for their own missions. You are smart, and your mind, so long forced into dormancy, eagerly latches onto this new challenge. It's a way to reclaim a tiny piece of yourself. You also learn about your new master. Valignano is a whirlwind of intellectual energy, a man constantly writing, planning, and debating. The Jesuits, you discover, are not just priests. This is the era's quirky corporate religious hybrid. The Society of Jesus is a global powerhouse, deeply involved in trade, sometimes even in slaves, though they preferred to buy and then free them through conversion to fund their worldwide missions. They are part political party, part university, part intelligence agency, and part multinational corporation. Joke 1. It's like finding out your new boss isn't just a manager at a non-profit. He's also the CEO of a massive shipping company and has his own spy network. You become a shadow to this powerful man. You are his kurobozu, his black page. You are a living symbol of his reach. Joke 2. You're basically the 16th century equivalent of showing up to a meeting in a Bugatti. You're pure 6'6" spectacle. You watch him debate theology, plan voyages, and manage the complex, often corrupt ecosystem of Portuguese Goa. You are in the room, but you are invisible. And you learn. You learn how power works. You learn how these pale, black-robed men are attempting to reshape the entire world with nothing but a book and an iron will. You are no longer just a prime specimen. You are now an attendant to a man who talks to kings. You have survived the ocean. You have survived the market. And now you're about to go somewhere even he has never been. Valignano is finalizing his plans. His ultimate destination is Japan, and you are coming with him. Joke 3. You just got your life stabilized in India, and now your boss says you're transferring to the Japan office. You can't even find it on a map because you can't read, and your map is probably just a vague memory of a coastline anyway. Awaiting continue. The decision is made. The word Japan echoes through the Jesuit compound in Goa, spoken with a mixture of reverence, ambition, and a healthy dose of fear. This isn't just another posting. Japan is the grand prize, the most challenging and sophisticated mission field the Jesuits have ever encountered. It's a nation of proud, insular, and perpetually warring factions. You're not just going to a new place. You're walking into a hornet's nest, and you're going to be standing right next to the man holding the stick. Your master, Valignano, is in a flurry of activity. This is the mission that will define his legacy. Preparations are immense. This isn't like packing for a weekend trip. This is a state visit, a religious crusade, and a corporate merger all rolled into one. Joke 1. Valignano is juggling the roles of diplomat, CEO, and chief missionary, and you're just hoping he remembers to pack enough snacks. You are now officially his primary attendant and bodyguard. You're training from your old life, your innate strength, your towering physical presence. These are now your defined job skills. You are fitted with a new, finer livery, still likely black but made of a richer fabric. It's designed to be simple, to contrast with the colorful silks of the merchants. But its quality speaks of the quiet, immense wealth of the Jesuit order. You are also almost certainly armed. Not with a samurai sword, not yet, but perhaps with a heavy European side sword or a dagger, and the implicit menace of your own physique. You watch as crates are loaded. This is the mainstream historical fact. Valignano is not just bringing Bibles. His entire strategy of adaptatio, cultural adaptation, means he is bringing the very best of European civilization to impress, not conquer. He is bringing gifts for the powerful daimyo, the feudal lords he hopes to convert. And these are not simple trinkets. This is the quirky tidbit. You are helping to load crates containing things that must seem like pure witchcraft. There are advanced European clocks with their intricate gears and chimes, in a land that largely tells time by the sun. There are maps of the world, a concept that will shatter the local worldview. There are globes, telescopes, fine Venetian glass, and perhaps even a harpsichord or a viola. Joke 2. You're packing a crate full of gears and mirrors and another full of maps that show places you're pretty sure don't exist. It feels less like a mission and more like a traveling magic show. Historians still argue whether Valignano's primary motivation was truly theological, or if it was a brilliant geopolitical move. Was he there to save souls? Or was he there to ensure that Japan fell under the influence of Catholic Portugal, rather than the Protestant Dutch or English who were sure to follow? The line between God and mammon is impossibly thin. The Jesuits are funded in large part by the Portuguese monopoly on the Japan-China silk trade, a trade they manage from their base in Macau. This entire mission is a high-stakes gamble, and you are Valignano's most visible playing card. The time comes. You leave Goa. You are on a ship again, but this time it is profoundly different. You are not in the hold. You are on the deck, a recognized member of the visitor's personal retinue. You have a bunk. You eat the same food as the crew. The sailors who once would have hosed you down like an animal now give you a wide berth, a mixture of fear and respect. You are someone, or at least, you are someone's someone. The journey is still long, still dangerous, but the terror is gone, replaced by a strange, numb anticipation. Your first stop is Macau, the Portuguese foothold on the coast of China. If Goa was a culture shock, Macau is a different kind of madness. It's a tiny, cramped port city, a sliver of Portugal clinging to the side of the Ming dynasty, the most powerful empire on earth. The Chinese are, for the most part, forbidden to trade with the Japanese. The Portuguese, through this single port, are the only middlemen. The city is wall-to-wall with merchants, mercenaries, priests, and spies. You see Chinese men with long braided queues, Portuguese soldiers in steel breastplates, and Japanese converts who have fled their homeland. And here, Valignano's strategy is finalized. He meets with the Jesuit mission already based there, getting the latest intelligence from Japan. The news is stark. The country is in chaos, but one man, a brutal and brilliant daimyo named Oda Nobunaga, is rapidly conquering and unifying it. He is the target. You are an object of intense curiosity here too, but in a different way. The Chinese merchants, the Japanese sailors, they all stare. Your height, your skin, you are a walking omen, a strange giant from a land they've only heard of in fables. You stand by Valignano's side, a silent, imposing statue of black granite, and you watch him navigate the treacherous politics of the Macau trade. You are learning. You're learning about power, about presentation, about how a single well-placed man can leverage the entire world. Finally, the ship is ready. It's a carrack, the great ship that makes the annual, monumentally profitable run from Macau to Nagasaki. It's loaded with Chinese silk, the commodity that the Japanese warlords crave above all else. Valignano has secured passage. You stand on the deck looking out at the South China Sea. You have been ripped from Africa, processed through India, staged in China. Joke 3. You've collected 3 continents, and you're not even a tourist. You're just trying to keep your boss from getting lost in a new country that you're pretty sure he's going to offend within the first 5 minutes. You've gone from a slave in chains to the bodyguard of one of the most powerful men in the East. You have no past left, only this surreal, terrifying, forward-moving present. The ship pulls anchor. You are on the last leg of your journey, heading toward a cluster of islands that will seal your fate and turn you from a historical footnote into a legend. You are on your way to Japan. The salt spray changes. It feels cooler, sharper. The thick, humid air of Macau and Goa gives way to a temperate, pine-scented breeze. You've been at sea for weeks, a long, rolling journey across the East China Sea, and the mood on the ship has been one of anxious, focused silence. Valignano has been in constant prayer or study, rehearsing the complex protocols for meeting Japanese daimyo. The other Jesuits are pale, their black robes seeming darker against the gray, choppy sea. You, as always, stand watch, a silent mountain of a man, scanning the horizon. Then, a new land appears. It's not the low, sandy coastline of India or the crowded delta of Macau. It's mountainous, green, and shrouded in mist. It looks, you think, quiet. The ship navigates a complex series of islands and bays, finally dropping anchor in the harbor of Kuchinotsu, a small port town in the domain of Arima, on the island of Kyushu. The date is July 25th, 1579. This is it. This is Japan. You stand on the deck as the sails are furled, looking down at the shore, and the shore is looking back. The docks are already crowded, but not with the diverse, chaotic mix of Goa. Everyone here looks the same. The people are shorter than even the Portuguese, the men wearing simple kimonos or loincloths, their hair tied up in a strange topknot you've never seen before. The buildings are all wood and paper with gracefully curved roofs that look impossibly fragile. The entire port has stopped. Everyone is staring at the great ship, the Kurofune, or black ship as they call the Portuguese carracks, a vessel of almost supernatural size. But they are not staring at the ship. They are staring at you. You, standing on the deck, towering over the Portuguese crew, your skin a color they have no words for. The gangplank is lowered. Valignano takes a breath, composes his features into a mask of serene apostolic authority, and prepares to disembark. You follow, just behind his right shoulder, as you have been trained. Your foot touches the wooden dock of Kuchinotsu, and the world breaks. It is not a polite welcome. It is a human explosion. The quiet you sensed from the ship was a lie. The moment you are fully visible, a sound erupts from the crowd. A collective gasp, a shriek of simultaneous terror and disbelief. People fall over each other, shoving, scrambling to get a better look or to get away. It is pure, unfiltered chaos. This is the mainstream historical fact. Your arrival in Japan was not a quiet affair. It caused an immediate and profound sensation wherever you went. You are not just a foreigner. The Portuguese are foreigners with their strange, balloon-like trousers and their hairy faces. You are something else entirely. You are an event. You try to remain impassive, the stoic bodyguard, but it's like walking through a living storm. People are pointing, shouting in a language that sounds like a rapid-fire burst of hard consonants. "Oni!" one person yells. "Daiko kuten!" screams another. This is the quirky tidbit of your arrival. You have no idea what they are saying, but you have just been identified simultaneously as both a demon and a god. Japanese folklore is full of oni, supernatural ogres or demons, often depicted as large, powerful, and terrifying. You, with your charcoal skin and giant's stature, are a folktale come to life. But Daikokuten, one of the 7 lucky gods, a god of wealth and prosperity, is also often depicted with a dark skin. Joke 1. You've been on the dock for 30 seconds and you've already been typecast as both a demonic monster and a good luck charm. It's a very confusing performance review. The crowd surges. They want to touch you to see if the color rubs off. They are mesmerized. Children are screaming and hiding behind their mother's legs. Old women are holding up charms, whispering prayers. Tough-looking samurai, their hands resting on the hilts of their 2 swords, just stare, their usual haughty arrogance completely shattered. Joke 2. You've managed to do the impossible. You've made a samurai stop and stare, completely speechless. That's a level of intimidation even most warlords can't pull off. Historians still argue whether the initial chaos was genuine terror, a belief that a supernatural being had landed, or if it was the 16th century equivalent of a celebrity sighting, an overwhelming riotous curiosity that simply overwhelmed the strict Japanese social order. Valignano, to his credit, is completely unfazed. In fact, you suspect this is exactly what he wanted. He walks calmly through the path you are clearing. Your sheer presence creates a vacuum around you. The local Japanese Christians, converts who have come to welcome the Jesuit visitor, are trying to form a perimeter, but they are useless against the tide of people. The small Jesuit mission in Kuchinotsu becomes your fortress. You get Valignano inside and the doors are barred. But the chaos doesn't stop. For days, the mission is essentially under siege. The entire town, and soon, people from neighboring villages, are camped outside, just waiting, hoping for another glimpse of the Black Giant. Joke 3. You're in a new country, you don't speak the language, and you've already got hundreds of fans camped on your front lawn. It's the celebrity lifestyle you never asked for, complete with a total lack of privacy and a high chance of being poked by strangers. You are inside, in the quiet, paper-walled rooms of the mission, and you can hear the constant, low roar of the crowd outside. You are a prisoner of your own appearance. You cannot go out. You are the show, and the show has just begun. Valignano's plan is working perfectly. He has arrived. He has made his statement. And you are that statement, written in 6.5 feet of African flesh and bone. The local daimyo has, of course, already been notified. But the real target, the man who rules half of Japan, Oda Nobunaga, is hundreds of miles away in the capital. The news of your arrival is already traveling faster than you are. A rumor of a giant, black-skinned monster walking the earth. The siege at the mission in Kuchinotsu finally breaks, not because the crowd gets bored, but because Valignano has official business. He is a diplomat, and he must present himself to the local daimyo of Arima. This first meeting sets the template for what is to come. You enter the small, austere castle, and the samurai guards, men trained to face death without flinching, visibly falter. They stare. Their hands twitch toward their swords, not necessarily in aggression, but in a kind of profound systemic confusion. You are a walking paradox, a creature that should not exist. You stand by Valignano's side, a silent giant, as he presents his gifts, perhaps a piece of Venetian glass or a small, intricate clock. The daimyo is polite, but his eyes keep flickering to you. Your presence has done exactly what it was supposed to do. It has completely upended the room, demonstrating that your master is a man of global, almost supernatural, connections. But Kuchinotsu is just the beginning. The ultimate goal is Kyoto, the imperial capital, where the shogun lives and, more importantly, where the true power of the land, Oda Nobunaga, holds court. The journey is planned. It will be a long, grueling trek, first across the island of Kyushu, then by boat across the inland sea, and finally overland again to the capital. You are now officially on tour, and you are the main attraction. You set out. The group is small: Valignano, you, a few other Jesuit priests, and a handful of Japanese converts acting as guides and porters. Almost immediately you realize the journey will be a nightmare. The roads are often just narrow, muddy tracks. But the main problem isn't the terrain. It's the people. The rumor of your arrival has spread like wildfire. At every tiny village, every roadside shrine, every ferry crossing, a crowd is waiting. They have heard about the Kurobozu, the black giant, the demon, the god, and they are desperate to see you. This is the mainstream historical fact of this period. Travel in 16th century Japan was slow, and it was public. There were no private carriages. You walked, or if you were immensely important, you were carried in a keigo, a small palanquin. Valignano, as a high-ranking visitor, has one. You, as his bodyguard, walk beside it. This makes you the most visible part of the entire procession. You are a 6.5-foot-tall lightning rod for human curiosity. The chaos of Kuchinotsu is no longer contained. It's a rolling, daily phenomenon. As you approach a town, you can hear the murmur before you see the people. They line the path, packed shoulder to shoulder. The moment you come into view, the same wave of sound washes over you. Gasps, screams, prayers. Joke 1. You're like a rock star, but instead of screaming your name, they're mostly just debating which mythological creature you are. People shove forward. They try to touch your skin, your clothes. The Japanese guides try to form a perimeter, shouting, "Shitsure shimasu, gomen kudasai." Excuse us, pardon us. But they are overwhelmed. You have to physically push your way through a river of humanity. It's terrifying, it's suffocating, and it's deeply, profoundly lonely. You are the only person like you on the entire continent. The journey takes you through different domains, each ruled by a different daimyo. Historians still argue whether these local lords, who offer you and Valignano shelter at night in their castles, are doing so out of genuine hospitality, a keen political desire to get a first look at the powerful Jesuit visitor and his exotic entourage, and by extension the Portuguese trade, or if they are just desperately trying to manage the chaos and get your disruptive presence out of their territory as fast as possible. Joke 2. It's the ultimate hot potato of 16th century diplomacy. Oh, how fascinating a giant. Please honor me by staying at my castle and by leaving first thing in the morning. You see things that must seem like a fever dream. You pass samurai processions, the retainers of a local lord, marching in perfect, intimidating order. This is a quirky tidbit. The fully developed Sankinkotai system, where lords were forced to live in alternate attendance at the capital, is still a few decades away, but the roads are already a stage for displaying power. These samurai, their lacquered armor gleaming, their banners snapping in the wind, are the most dangerous things on the road, until you show up. They stop. They stare. Their perfect, intimidating formation dissolves into a knot of confused, pointing men. You, a single unarmed attendant, have just disrupted a military column simply by existing. The journey becomes a blur of paper-walled rooms, startled faces, and endless muddy roads. You learn to be a statue. You learn to detach. You are no longer the man from Mozambique or Ethiopia. You are not even the Jesuit attendant from Goa. You are Yasuke, though you don't have this name yet. You are the concept of him. You are the black man of Japan. You are a spectacle. Every night you are exhausted, not from the walking, but from the relentless, crushing weight of thousands of eyes. Joke 3. You've had more people stare at you in the last 3 months than in your entire life. You're beginning to understand what a particularly interesting bowl of soup must feel like. You cross the Shimonoseki Strait, a turbulent ribbon of water, and land on Honshu, the main island. The crowds only get bigger, the rumors more outlandish. By the time you are approaching the Kinki region, the area around the capital, the entire country, it seems, is aware of your existence. Valignano is a genius. He has not had to send a single letter to announce his arrival. You are his calling card, his press release, his walking, talking billboard, and you are about to be presented to the single most powerful and most dangerous man in all of Japan, Oda Nobunaga. You finally arrive in Kyoto in March of 1581. The journey has been a long walking riot. But the capital is another level of intensity entirely. Kyoto is, or was, the seat of the emperor, a city of ancient temples and sprawling palaces. But it's also a city that has been ravaged by the Onin War decades earlier, a conflict that burned much of it to the ground. It's a place of stark contrasts. Exquisite, serene gardens existing right next to neighborhoods still showing the scars of war. It's a city rebuilding itself under the iron-fisted peace of its new master, Oda Nobunaga. And you have just become its single biggest disturbance. The news of your arrival moves through the paper-walled houses like a shockwave. The chaos isn't confined to a single street. It paralyzes the entire district. This is the mainstream historical fact, recorded in detail in both the Jesuit letters of Louis Frois and the official Japanese Shinsho Koki, or the Lord Nobunaga Chronicle. The people of Kyoto who fancy themselves sophisticated city dwellers lose their collective minds. A massive crowd forms the moment you and Valignano enter the city gates. They don't just stare. They surge. They stampede. They break down the doors of the Jesuit mission where you are staying. People are climbing onto the roofs of neighboring houses just to get a look. The Chronicle states it bluntly. The crush of people was so great that several people were crushed to death in the stampede. Joke 1. You've officially become a public menace. The crowd is so thick that people are literally climbing on top of each other for a glimpse. It's the 16th century's most dangerous mosh pit, and you're the band. This cannot and will not be tolerated. The news flies to the man in charge. Oda Nobunaga, who is staying in the city at the Honoji temple complex, hears of this commotion. He hears that the city is in chaos, that people have died, all because of a black man who has arrived with the southern barbarians. Nobunaga is not pleased, or rather, he is intensely intrigued. Nobunaga is not a man who tolerates disorder, but he is also a man who is pathologically curious. He is the great unifier of Japan, a military genius and a notorious iconoclast. He despises the old, dusty traditions. He loves new things, new ideas, new technologies. He wears Western armor in battle. He drinks from Venetian glass. He is fascinated by the European arquebus, the firearm that is helping him conquer Japan. And now this, a walking, breathing impossibility, has just caused a riot in his city. He immediately sends a summons. He wants to see the Jesuit visitor, and he wants to see you. Now, Valignano, ever the cool-headed strategist, knows this is the moment. This is the entire purpose of the journey. You are washed, dressed in your finest livery, and you walk from your mission to Honoji. The streets are cleared, this time by samurai with bare steel, their faces grim. The transition is jarring. You go from the deafening roar of the mob to a place of absolute, terrifying silence. Honoji is a large, beautiful temple complex, but it's been converted into a temporary fortress palace. You are guided through polished wooden corridors, past silent, kneeling samurai who stare at you, their eyes cold and assessing. You slide past paper shoji screens, your head nearly brushing the tops of the door frames. You enter the main audience hall. It's a vast room, the scent of aged wood and incense in the air. At the far end, kneeling on a raised platform, is a man. He is 47 years old, slender, with a pale face and an aura of such intense condensed energy that it makes the air in the room feel thin. Joke 2. This isn't a local daimyo in a small wooden fort. This is the man who is ending 100 years of civil war. He has the kind of aura that makes you want to check if you're standing in a puddle, because you're pretty sure he could shoot lightning from his fingertips. This is Oda Nobunaga. Valignano performs the deep, respectful bows, likely through an interpreter. He begins his formal introductions. You are standing just behind him, your eyes technically downcast as protocol demands, but you can feel the weight of one man's gaze. Nobunaga is not looking at Valignano. He is not looking at the interpreter, or at the other Jesuits, or at the priceless gifts they are about to present. He is staring with a burning, skeptical intensity right at you. Historians still argue whether Nobunaga's fascination with Westerners, and by extension you, was a sign of a genuine modern mind, an intellectual curiosity about the wider world, or if it was a cold, pragmatic calculation. The Jesuits were the gatekeepers to Portuguese trade, and that trade brought teppo, the matchlock firearms he needed to win his wars. He may have been tolerating these strange priests and their stranger servants simply to get his hands on more guns. This is also the quirky tidbit. Nobunaga was notoriously hostile toward the powerful, land-owning Buddhist monasteries, which he saw as political and military rivals. He had slaughtered thousands of monks and burned their ancient temples to the ground. But he loved the Jesuits. He found them intelligent, worldly, and most importantly, they weren't trying to claim Japanese land. Joke 3. He's the only guy in Japan who will burn down a 1,000-year-old temple on a Tuesday, but invite the new-in-town priests over for tea on a Wednesday. His comment section would have been a mess. The formalities stop. Nobunaga speaks, his voice sharp and impatient. He gestures. At you. He does not believe what he is seeing. He has seen dark-skinned people before, perhaps sailors from Southeast Asia or India, but he has never seen skin this dark. He has never seen a man this tall. He says something to his attendants. He is convinced, utterly convinced, that you are a trick. You are a Portuguese demon. Or perhaps just a very large man who has been coated in black ink as a practical joke. He is the most powerful man in Japan, and he believes you are a fraud, and he is about to prove it. The air in the audience hall is so quiet you can hear the scrape of silk on the reed mats as Nobunaga's attendants react to his command. He has just ordered you to be scrubbed. Not just washed, but scrubbed. Like a dirty pot. He points at you, then makes a vigorous rubbing motion with his hand, speaking in that sharp, commanding Japanese. The interpreter, a young, pale-faced Jesuit, stammers for a moment, his professional poise shattering. He translates for Valignano, who nods, his face an unreadable mask of diplomacy. He knew this might happen. He gestures for you to comply. This is the ultimate test. You are not to resist. You are to be an object, a thing to be inspected by a king. A profound, cold humiliation washes over you, but you show nothing. You are a survivor. You've endured the chains, the market, the endless, suffocating crowds. You can endure this. Your job is to be the embodiment of Valignano's power, and right now, that means being utterly, powerfully passive. You nod just once. The samurai attendants who had been kneeling in perfect silent rows are now in motion. Joke 1. You can see the look on their faces. Nobody wants to be the guy who has to walk up to the 6.5-foot-tall demon and give him a sponge bath. 2 of them, their faces set in grim determination, scurry off. You are ordered to your knees. Then you are motioned to remove the top half of your livery. You stand, pull the black Jesuit-issued robe over your head, and then kneel again, naked from the waist up. The room is cold. Or maybe that's just the feeling of a dozen pairs of eyes on your bare skin. You are a mountain of muscle. Your body a map of a life of hardship and strength, and it is now on full display for the most powerful man in Japan. The attendants return. They carry a wooden bucket of water and some rough homespun cloths. They kneel beside you. One dips a cloth into the water, and then with a hesitant, fearful energy he begins to scrub your arm. This is the mainstream historical fact, recorded in detail in the Shincho Koki, the Lord Nobunaga Chronicle. This isn't legend, it's history. The official chronicle of the Oda clan states that Nobunaga simply did not believe that such a skin color could be real. He was convinced it was sumi, the black ink used by monks and artists for calligraphy. This is the quirky tidbit. He didn't think you were a supernatural being in that moment. He thought the Jesuits were brilliant con artists who had taken a large man and painted him as a practical joke. Joke 2. He basically thought Valignano had pulled a high-stakes, extremely elaborate prank, and he was the guy who was about to call his bluff. The attendant scrubs. He scrubs hard. The cloth is rough, abrasive. He scrubs your arm, your shoulder, your chest. You wince, just slightly. This is not a gentle washing. This is an exfoliation with extreme prejudice. Joke 3. It's the single most stressful spa treatment in history, and you're pretty sure you're not getting a cucumber water at the end. And Nobunaga just watches. He leans forward, his eyes narrowed, his expression one of intense, focused, almost scientific observation. He is waiting for the black to streak, to fade, to reveal the normal skin underneath. But nothing happens. The water in the bucket remains clear. Your skin, now gleaming and wet, is just as dark as like charcoal as it was before. The attendant scrubs more frantically, as if he is the one being tested, as if he is failing to remove the unremovable. He looks back at his master, terrified, holding up the cloth to show that it is clean. A new sound enters the room. Laughter. It's not a polite chuckle. It's a full, sharp, delighted laugh from Oda Nobunaga. He claps his hands. He is astonished. He is delighted. It's real. The ink is skin. The demon is a man. This, for Nobunaga, is the greatest gift of all. It's not a clock, not a telescope, not a globe. It's a human being who shatters his entire concept of the world. In this moment, the entire dynamic of the room pivots. You are no longer a potential fraud. You are no longer a thing to be inspected. You are suddenly the most fascinating person Nobunaga has ever seen. He orders the attendants to stop. He motions for you to be given a cloth to dry yourself. He is beaming, speaking rapidly to the interpreter, his questions tumbling out. Where did he come from? How did you get him? What is his name? Valignano, ever the brilliant diplomat, seizes the opportunity. He explains that you are from the Indies of Africa, a continent far beyond India, a place the Japanese have no name for. He explains your journey, your strength, your loyalty. Historians still argue whether this moment was a calculated political theater on Nobunaga's part, a way to show the Jesuits that he was all-powerful, that he could strip their servant bare in his own audience hall, or was it what it appeared to be? A genuine, almost childlike burst of curiosity from a man who was famously impatient with tradition and fascinated by the new and the outlandish. Given his personality, his obsession with Western goods, and his delight in shocking his conservative retainers, it was probably a potent mix of both. He was reinforcing his power, yes, but he was also genuinely, totally and utterly fascinated. You put your robe back on. The humiliation is still there, a cold ember in your gut, but the air in the room has changed. The fear is gone. The cold assessment of the samurai has been replaced by stunned, wide-eyed awe. You have passed the test. You have been scrubbed, and you have been proven true. Nobunaga is still talking, but now he is talking about you, not at you. He is animated, excited. You have just become the prize of his collection. The audience is over, but your life is about to change more profoundly than it ever has before. You just have no idea how much. The scrubbing has stopped. You are dry, you are robed, but you are not dismissed. The atmosphere in the room has done a 180. The skeptical, hostile tension has evaporated, replaced by a fizzing, electric curiosity, and it's all radiating from one man, Oda Nobunaga. He is leaning forward, his eyes bright, his earlier suspicion replaced by a childlike, almost manic delight. He's found a new living, breathing marvel. The inspection of your body is over. The inspection of your mind is about to begin. He fires off a question. His voice is sharp, impatient. The Jesuit interpreter, still regaining his composure, translates. The Lord Nobunaga asks, "From what land do you come?" Valignano steps in, starting to give a long, prepared speech about the Indies of Africa, the Portuguese missions, and the glory of God. Nobunaga waves a hand, a sharp, dismissive gesture. He cuts Valignano off. He's not talking to the priest. He is looking right at you. He wants you to answer. This is the moment. You are not an animal. You are not a statue. You are a man who has survived a journey across the entire known world by being smart, observant, and adaptable. You have been in Japan for weeks, surrounded by the language. You were in Goa, picking up Portuguese. You are intelligent. You look at Nobunaga, meet his gaze, a massive breach of protocol, but one he seems to invite, and you speak. Perhaps you use the Portuguese you've learned. You venho de Africa or something similar. But maybe, just maybe, you've learned enough from the Japanese converts on the long road from Kuchinotsu. You give a simple answer. Afurika Kara. Or maybe you point to yourself and say your given name, the one you had before Valignano. Or perhaps you just say Mozambique. What you say is less important than the fact that you say it. You respond with cogent sound. You demonstrate comprehension. Nobunaga is taken aback. then grins, clapping his hands. Joke 1. The entire room just tenses up. You've just spoken directly to the most powerful warlord in the country. It's the 16th century equivalent of interrupting a king, and everyone is bracing for you to lose your head. But Nobunaga loves it. This is exactly what he wants. He hates the bowing, scraping, overly formal traditions of the Kyoto court. He loves directness. He loves strength, and you just showed him both. He asks another question, and another. This is the mainstream historical fact. Nobunaga was known for his sharp intellect and his deep probing curiosity. He wasn't just a brute, he was a master strategist, a patron of the arts, and a man who valued intelligence. He is now, essentially, interviewing you. He asks your age. The Jesuit letters and Japanese chronicles, specifically the Shinchokoki, contain a stunningly specific quirky tidbit. They record your age as about 26 or 27 and state that you possess the strength of 10 men. How did they know your age? You certainly didn't have a birth certificate. Nobunaga asked you, and you told him. This wasn't an inspection. It was a conversation. Historians still argue whether you spoke fluent Japanese or just a broken functional pidgin. Louis Froys, the Jesuit chronicler, wrote that you understood the Japanese somewhat. But somewhat to a brilliant linguist like Froys could mean not perfectly. To a man like Nobunaga, who was just looking for a mind behind the eyes, your ability to communicate at all, to show reason, to learn was a revelation. Joke 2. You're pulling off the most high-stakes language exam of all time. You're conjugating verbs in your head, and if you get it wrong, the proctor might just, stab you. Nobunaga is fascinated. He asks about your homeland. What are the animals like? Are there elephants? He's seen one, a gift from the Portuguese. What are the wars like? He gestures to your arms, your height. He is a military man. He sees a weapon, but now he also sees a person. He laughs when you describe something, your voice a deep rumble that no one in this paper-walled room has ever heard. The samurai retainers are just stunned. They are watching their terrifying, godlike master, the man who burns monasteries, chit-chatting, and laughing with a black-skinned giant who, an hour ago, they thought was a demon covered in ink. Valignano is, for the first time, not in control of the situation. He's standing on the sidelines, watching his prized possession, his diplomatic tool, be poached. Joke 3. Valignano is watching this like a nervous stage mom. He's proud his kid is hitting his marks, but also worried he's about to get a new agent and leave him behind. Nobunaga is utterly charmed. You are not just a thing. You are strong, you are intelligent, and you are, by your very existence, a rejection of all the boring, predictable traditions he so despises. You are the ultimate nonconformist, and Nobunaga is the ultimate patron of nonconformists. The test is over. You haven't just passed, you've aced it. Nobunaga's mind is made up. This man is not going back with the Jesuits. This man is not just a curiosity to be seen and dismissed. He is a treasure. Nobunaga turns to Valignano, and his tone is no longer questioning. It is the tone of a man who does not get told no. He makes a request, which is of course a demand. He wants you. He wants you to leave the service of the Jesuits and enter his. He wants you to be his man. The request hangs in the air, but it's not really a request. It's a command wrapped in the thinnest veil of politeness. Oda Nobunaga wants you. He wants you as one would want a prized falcon, a magnificent horse, or a perfectly crafted sword. He has looked at you. He has tested you. And he has decided you will be his. You, Valignano, and everyone in the room understand this. Saying no to the man who is actively conquering Japan is not an option. It would be the end of the Jesuit mission, and possibly the end of Valignano. You look at your master, Alessandro Valignano. The priest's face is a perfect, unreadable mask, but you've been with him for 2 years and you can see the wheels turning behind his eyes. This is a man who plays chess with continents. He is not panicking. He is calculating. He is, in a fraction of a second, tallying the pros and cons. Con. He loses his most effective bodyguard and his single greatest piece of diplomatic theater. Pro. He is about to place a man he thinks he controls, a man raised for 2 years within the Jesuit mission, directly into the personal, intimate household of the single most important man in Japan. It's a spy, an ambassador, and a symbol of their new alliance, all rolled into one. Joke 1. Valignano is doing the 16th century equivalent of an internal cost-benefit analysis, and he's just realized that losing his bodyguard is actually the best win he could have hoped for. This isn't a loss, it's the ultimate victory for his strategy of adaptatio. Valignano performs a deep, respectful bow. He speaks, and the interpreter's voice fills the room. "My lord, we are overwhelmed by your generosity and your interest. This man, my humble servant, is a mere trifle. But if he finds favor in your eyes, it would be our greatest honor to present him to you as a gift, a symbol of the new and everlasting friendship between your powerful domain and the Society of Jesus. A gift. You have been traded again. From the slavers on the coast, to Valignano in the market, and now to this warlord in his temple palace, you are a trifle, a gift. A part of you, the part that remembers being a free man, burns with a cold, silent rage. But the other part of you, the survivor, the pragmatist, who has learned how this new, brutal world works, recognizes this for what it is, a staggering promotion. You are not being sent to a mine or a field. You are not being given to a minor functionary. You are being gifted to the Tenkadono, the lord of the realm. You are moving from the orbit of a man who talks to kings to the direct service of a man who is one. This is the mainstream historical fact. The transfer was, on paper, a gift. This was a crucial part of Japanese diplomacy. Gifts were not just pleasantries, they were the language of power, allegiance, and obligation. By gifting you to Nobunaga, Valignano was binding them together. And by accepting you, Nobunaga was signaling his favor and his acceptance of the Jesuits. Joke 2. You are officially the most valuable and tallest gift with purchase in Japanese history. This exchange, recorded in the Shincho Koki, was the linchpin of the entire meeting. Historians still argue whether Valignano had any choice at all. Some letters suggest he was genuinely reluctant, noting that it was no small matter to give you up. But most see it as a calculated masterstroke. He was giving Nobunaga something no other daimyo in Japan could ever possess. He was giving him a living, breathing symbol of global power, and in doing so, ensuring his own mission's success. This is also a quirky tidbit. Nobunaga was an obsessive collector of meibutsu, celebrated things. This usually meant priceless tea bowls, famous swords, or rare pieces of art. He would start wars to acquire a specific tea caddy. And now, you have just become the prize of his collection, a meibutsu of flesh and blood. You are rarer than any ceramic, more talked about than any blade. Nobunaga smiles, a thin, sharp, satisfied expression. He nods. Yoroshi. Good. He gestures, not at Valignano, but at you. He motions for you to come forward, to leave the side of the priest and to come to his side. You stand. You look at Valignano one last time. The priest gives you a single, almost imperceptible nod. It's a dismissal. It's a transfer of command. You bow first to your old master and then much more deeply to your new one. You walk the 10 feet across the tatami mats. It is the longest walk of your life. You move past the kneeling samurai, past the scent of Jesuit wool, and into the scent of Japanese incense and steel. You kneel again, near the raised platform, and you wait. You have a new master. Joke 3. The company policy is about to change big time. You've just left the quiet, scholarly nonprofit and signed on with a high-stakes, military-run startup that's in the middle of a hostile takeover of the entire country. The audience is over. Valignano and the other priests are bowing their way out. You are not. You are staying. You don't go back to the Jesuit mission. You don't see Valignano again. The transfer is absolute and immediate. You are now part of Oda Nobunaga's household, a sprawling, chaotic, and lethally precise military machine. The first few days are a blur of profound disorientation. You are a ghost in a new house, a giant who has to duck under every doorway, a shadow who doesn't speak the language of the walls. You are given quarters, simple but clean, within the temple complex. You are given food, rice, fish, pickled vegetables, a diet completely alien to you, but you eat. You survive. You are still a spectacle. The samurai, the attendants, the tea masters, the pages, they all stare. But the dynamic has changed. The fear and riotous curiosity of the street are gone. This is a controlled environment. They stare at you now with a new kind of awe, a calculating respect. You are not just a gaijin, foreigner. You are Nobunagako no Okakai, Lord Nobunaga's personal retainer. You are his property, and therefore you are to be respected as one would respect his favorite sword. Joke 1. You've gone from being a terrifying public menace to a high-end limited edition collectible. The velvet rope has gone up and you're now on the inside. But you have a problem. You are a what, not a who. You don't have a name. Or rather, the name you were born with is a distant echo from a dead life. The name the Portuguese might have given you is irrelevant. Nobunaga cannot simply point and grunt. He is a man who loves order, even in his iconoclasm. He needs to call you something. He needs to give you an identity within his world. So he gives you one. This is the mainstream historical fact. The warlord bestows a name upon you. This is not a casual act. In 16th century Japan, a name is a powerful thing. It defines your place, your allegiance, your very being. For a lord to give a name to a retainer is a profound act of patronage, a symbolic adoption. He summons you. He looks at you, this towering, dark-skinned man who has fascinated him, and he names you Yasuke, or 14yoshi. Where does this name come from? Historians still argue and will never truly know. This is the great mystery at the heart of your new identity. It's one of history's most compelling blank spots. Is it a Japanization of a name you already had? Perhaps your Christian name given by the Jesuits was Isaac, or Izake in Portuguese, Isake, Yasuke. It's a plausible linguistic slide, or maybe it was an Arabic name from your homeland, like Yasufe, Yasufe, Yasuke. Or perhaps it's a link to your African origin, ya being a title for a respected man or elder in some cultures, combined with the Japanese suke. Or is it, as many suspect, a purely Japanese name? This is the quirky tidbit of the whole affair. The kanji characters sometimes used to write your name, 14yoshi, can be broken down. Ya, 14yos, can mean more and more or increase. Suke, oshi, is a very common suffix for a male, samurai class name, meaning help, assist, or aid. Nobunaga, in his direct, pragmatic way, may have simply looked at you, his new, incredibly strong assistant, and named you the helper who will give me more. Joke 2. It's the 16th century equivalent of being a programmer and your boss just deciding to call you Cody McHelperson. It's a little onthanos, but it's a job title and a name all in one. It doesn't matter where it came from. What matters is that it is. You are no longer the black man, the African, the foreigner, Valignano's attendant, or the demon. You are Yasuke. You have a Japanese name. You have a place. You can be addressed. You can be given orders. You can be integrated into the complex, rigid social hierarchy of the samurai class. This single act is the official start of your new life. It is, in its way, a second birth. This one officiated by a warlord. You learn to answer to it Yasuke. The name rings out sharp and clear in Nobunaga's voice. You learn to kneel, to bow your head, and to say hi, yes. Your education, which began in the Jesuit compound, now accelerates at a terrifying pace. You are a sponge, soaking in the sounds, the gestures, the protocols. You learn who to bow to, how deeply, and who to ignore. You learn the difference in the rustle of silk. That's a high-ranking retainer versus the pad of cotton. That's a servant. You learn to move silently on the wooden floors, a giant's tread softened to a whisper. Your new name is your shield and your key. It gives the samurai around you a box to put you in. You are Yasuke no, Lord or Master Yasuke, a formal, respectful address that must have sounded bizarre to your own ears. You who were in chains. You, who were scrubbed like an ink pot, you are now Dono. Joke 3. Your social status has been on a roller coaster that would make most theme parks sue for safety violations. You've gone from cargo to celebrity to middle management in a military dictatorship. What a career path. The name is a symbol. Nobunaga didn't just give you a name. He rebranded you. He took a foreign, chaotic element, you, and stamped his own personal seal on you. You are now a product of the Oda clan. You belong to him, not just in body, but in name. You have been in the most profound way Japanized, and with this name, this new identity, comes a new set of expectations. You are not just a curiosity to be stared at. You are not a pet. You are Suk, an assistant, a retainer, and in this world, that means one thing. You are going to learn how to fight. You have a name. You have a master. And now your new life truly begins. You don't stay in Kyoto. Honoji Temple was just a temporary field office for Nobunaga. His real seat of power, the monument to his ego and his vision, is a short distance away. You are part of his personal retinue as he travels, and the difference is staggering. When you walked with Valignano, you were a spectacle, a target for the mob, an animal in a traveling circus. Now, when you walk with Oda Nobunaga, you are a threat. You are part of the entourage, a towering silent figure in the fine new silk kimono you've been given. The crowds that gather on the roadside are silent, their heads bowed to the ground, terrified. They don't dare look up. You are on the inside of the terror, and you find it's much, much safer here. You travel to the shores of Lake Biwa, the largest freshwater lake in Japan. And there, built on a mountain that juts out over the water, you see it. It is not a temple. It is not a palace in the style of the old, effete Kyoto nobles. It is a fortress, but like one you've never seen or imagined. This is the mainstream historical fact. You have arrived at Azuchi Castle, Nobunaga's brand new revolutionary headquarters. This is the center of his new unified Japan. It is a statement in stone, wood, and gold, a building that screams, the old ways are over. It's 7 stories high, a tenshu or keep that soars over the landscape, the first of its kind. As you ascend the mountain, you walk through massive, complex stone walls, a defensive innovation Nobunaga borrowed from European designs. But the higher you get, the less it looks like a fortress, and the more it looks like a work of art. The upper floors are lacquered black, the roofs are covered in brilliant blue tiles, and the very top is gleaming with gold. You enter, and the interior is even more breathtakingly strange. This is the quirky tidbit. Nobunaga's taste is, to put it lightly, eclectic. He has hired the greatest painter of the age, Kano Eitoku, to decorate the main keep. But he hasn't just asked for the usual subtle inkwash paintings of bamboo and cranes. Oh no, the rooms are explosions of color. Entire walls are covered in gold leaf. There are rooms painted with mythical Chinese sages and dragons, rooms with tigers and peacocks. It's a fusion of every powerful image Nobunaga could think of. Joke 1. It's like your boss just won the lottery and told his interior decorator, I want all the themes. Put the dragons next to the philosophers, and make that wall just gold, the whole thing. Yes, that's what I said. The most bizarre part is the very top floor. It's an octagonal room designed to be used for the tea ceremony, but it's completely gilded, and its columns are painted with images that some Jesuit visitors would later describe as strangely familiar, perhaps even inspired by Christian art. It's a Buddhist, Shinto, Christian, military, artistic statement, all crammed into one 7-story monument to one man's ego. This is your new home. You are not a simple foot soldier quartered in the barracks. You are a kosho, a close attendant, a page, a personal retainer. This means you live in the keep. You are one of perhaps a dozen men who are allowed into Nobunaga's private chambers. Your job, 24/7, is him. You stand guard outside his room while he sleeps. You are a shadow in his audience hall, your hand never far from the dagger you've been given. Your sheer size is a deterrent. Joke 2. You're the most effective do not disturb sign in history. Historians still argue whether Azuchi Castle was ever intended to be a practical fortress, or if it was pure political theater. Its stone base was formidable, and its position on the lake gave it total control over the trade routes to Kyoto. But its upper floors, with their wide-open rooms and paper shoji screens, were a palace, not a bunker. It was a statement of overwhelming confidence, a place to host parties and tea ceremonies, a machine for generating awe, designed to make rival daimyo visit, and, upon seeing it, give up any thought of rebellion. You are, for the first time in what feels like a lifetime, in a stable, mostly safe place. You eat 3 full meals a day. You sleep on a thick, clean futon. You are given fine clothes. Nobunaga, it turns out, loves to give gifts to his favorites, and you are his absolute favorite. He parades you in front of visitors. He talks to you, asking questions through his interpreters about your homeland, your journey. He finds your presence, your deep voice, your utter otherness to be a comfort, a break from the bowing, scraping, and plodding of his Japanese retainers. Joke 3. You're part bodyguard, part therapist, and part living art installation. It's a weird job description, but the benefits are solid. You are standing at the very top of Japan, in a golden, octagonal room, looking down on the world that tried to crush you. You have a name, you have a home, you have a lord. Now you just need to learn how to serve him in the one way that truly matters in this new world. As a warrior, you are in Azuchi Castle, the epicenter of power. But you are not just a trophy in Nobunaga's collection. Nobunaga is a supreme pragmatist. He wastes nothing. And he is currently in possession of a man described in his own chronicles as having the strength of 10 men. That is not a resource you let stand by a door and just look intimidating. That is a resource you hone. You are a raw, uncut diamond of pure potential, and Nobunaga is about to hand you over to his master jewelers, who, in this case, are grizzled, terrifying weapons masters. The order is given. You are to be trained. This is not a suggestion. It's an edict that ripples through the castle. The Lord's new favorite, the black giant Yasuke, is to be taught the way of the warrior. This is a staggering honor, one that many a low-born Japanese man would kill for. For you, it's just the next terrifying phase of your survival. You are taken from your attendant silks and brought to the castle's dojo, the training hall. The sound is the first thing that hits you. The sharp clack-clack-clack of wooden swords striking. The sudden sharp ki shouts that seem to erupt from the very floor. The smell of sweat, steel, and old polished wood. You are handed a bakken, a heavy, curved wooden practice sword. It feels awkward in your hands. You are strong, yes? You have your own life experience of fighting and self-preservation. But this is not a European broadsword, which you might have seen Portuguese soldiers carry. It's not a club. It is a precise instrument. This is the mainstream historical fact. Samurai training, bujutsu, was not about brute strength. It was about kata, or forms, a series of precise, repetitive movements drilled into your muscle memory until you could perform them without thinking. It was about footwork, about using your opponent's energy against them, about an economy of motion. Your great height and raw power, which Nobunaga so admired, are actually your greatest disadvantages here. Joke 1. Your first instructor is probably a 5'2", 140-pound man who proceeds to hit you so hard and so fast with his wooden stick that you're fairly sure he's teleporting. You have to unlearn everything. Your center of gravity is all wrong. You swing too hard, leaving yourself wide open. You are, in short, a clumsy, oversized beginner. And the samurai you train with, the ones who had to bow to you in the hallways, now get to hit you. And they do. But this is the path. You learn to take the blows. You learn to move. You learn the ritual. The bow to the kamaza, the shrine at the front of the dojo, the bow to your sensei, the bow to your opponent. You are not just learning to fight. You are being indoctrinated. You are also introduced to the quirky tidbit that is the soul of your new class, the katana itself. The Japanese sword is not just a weapon, it's a god. It's a piece of folded sacred steel, believed to contain a kami, or spirit. You are taught that it is not a hacking weapon. It is a slicing weapon. It's an extension of your body, and the most revered techniques like iaijutsu involve drawing the blade and cutting your enemy down in a single, fluid, poetic, and utterly lethal motion. Joke 2. You're used to weapons that you swing. Now you're being handed a razor blade the size of your arm and being told it's all in the wrist. It's the most high-stakes arts and crafts project you've ever been a part of. Historians still argue whether your training was a comprehensive education in Bushido, the way of the warrior, with its complex web of philosophical, poetic, and spiritual tenets, or if it was a highly accelerated, pragmatic boot camp. Given Nobunaga's personality, it was almost certainly the latter. He didn't need you to write death poems and master the tea ceremony, though you were probably present for many. He needed you to kill people who tried to kill him. He needed a bodyguard. So your training is likely diversified. The sword is the symbol, but your true strength lies elsewhere. You are handed a yari, a long spear. Here, your height is not a weakness. It's a terrifying, almost unfair advantage. You have a reach that no Japanese warrior can match. You are a walking phalanx. You also, almost certainly, train in jujutsu, the art of unarmed combat. You learn to use your weight and strength to grapple, to throw, to break limbs. You, who were inspected and scrubbed like an animal, are now being taught with clinical precision a dozen different ways to kill a man with your bare hands. Joke 3. All those samurai who used to stare at you as a curiosity? They now avoid making eye contact for a very different reason. You've become the dojo's bogeyman. You are a survivor. You are intelligent. You are strong. You learn. You take the pain, the bruises, the humiliation of being a beginner, and you absorb it all. Day after day, you drill. Your clumsy movements become fluid. Your power, once raw and undirected, is now being channeled through the lethal geometry of Japanese martial arts. You are being forged. You are no longer a gift. You are no longer a trifle. You are a weapon. And Nobunaga, ever the showman, is about to give you the one thing that will make it all official. The days of being a clumsy beginner, of taking bruises from men half your size in the dojo, are over. You have endured. You have learned. Your movements, once awkward and oversized, have found a new, lethal grace. You have channeled your raw tenman strength into the precise forms of Japanese spearfighting and swordsmanship. You have proven you are not just a curiosity. You are a bushi, a warrior. And Nobunaga, who has been watching your progress with a proud, proprietary eye, decides it is time to make your transformation complete. This isn't just about training. It's about status. He summons you, not to the dojo, not to the audience hall, but to a more private setting, perhaps during a banquet or a quiet evening in his personal chambers. He is in a good mood. He has been drinking sake and he is expansive, his sharp eyes crinkling at the corners. He gestures you forward. You kneel. You've learned to do this with a practiced ease, folding your giant frame onto the tatami mats. He speaks, and the words are not for an interpreter. By now you understand him and he understands you. You're Japanese, forged in the heat of the castle's daily life, is functional, direct, and all you need. He tells you that you have served him well. He tells you that you are no longer a servant. You are his man, and his men are samurai. He is formally promoting you. This is the mainstream historical fact. Nobunaga was a revolutionary because he valued merit over bloodline. His greatest general, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, was a peasant who supposedly started as his sandal-bearer. He judged men by what they could do, not who their grandfathers were. In this, you are the ultimate expression of his philosophy. You have no bloodline. You have no family. You have no Japan. You are a total unknown. And he is making you a warrior. He claps his hands. Attendants come forward, and they are not carrying towels or water. They are carrying a lacquer stand. On it rests a daisho. This is the soul of the samurai, the matched set of two swords, the long katana and the short wakizashi. They are gleaming, the polished steel dark and alive in the lamplight, the hilts wrapped in white rayskin and black silk. Nobunaga nods. Tore, take it. You reach out, your hands, which have known the rough fiber of slave ropes and the abrasive cloth of an inspection, now close around the textured grip of a samurai sword. This is the quirky tidbit. This set of swords is not just a weapon, it is the single most important status symbol in Japan. It is your ID card, your license, your badge of office. Only the samurai class was legally permitted to wear the daisho, It was the visible, universally understood sign that you had the right to Kyushu to Gomen, the right to cut and leave, to strike down a commoner who disrespected you with no legal comeback. Joke 1. You've just been handed a license to kill, and it's so much cooler than a little plastic card. It's 2.5 feet of folded, soul-consuming steel. But he is not done. A title, even one backed by a very sharp sword, is not enough. A samurai needs an income. He grants you a stipend. This isn't a bag of coins, it's a salary paid in koku, bales of rice, the standard currency of feudal Japan. Joke 2. You're now a salaried professional. Your 401k is just a giant pile of carbohydrates. But in this economy, it's a fantastic deal. This means you are officially on the clan's books. You are a retainer with a salary to match. And finally, he grants you a residence. You are not just a bodyguard who sleeps in a barracks. You have your own house, likely a small, simple minka in the castle town of Azuchi, just outside the great stone walls. It's tiny. It's made of wood, paper, and mud. The doorways are all built for people 1.5 feet shorter than you. Joke 3. You've got your own house, which is amazing, but you're also going to get a mild concussion every single time you forget to duck. It's a small price to pay for privacy, but it is yours. You, the man who was cargo, who was property, now own property. Historians still argue whether Yasuke was officially a samurai in the truest sense of the word. Was he a landed vassal, a gokunin, given his own patch of farmland and peasants to rule? Almost certainly not. He was a kosho, a high-ranking intimate attendant and member of Nobunaga's personal guard. But he was granted the status, the salary, and crucially, the weapons of a samurai. In the eyes of everyone in Azuchi Castle, the distinction was meaningless. He was Yasuke Dono. He was the Lord's man, and he wore the 2 swords. You stand up, your new daisho thrust through your belt. The weight is unfamiliar, heavy on your hip, but it's a good weight. It's the weight of a name, a home, and a purpose. You are no longer a giant, you are a samurai. You are now, officially, one of them. You walk the polished wooden halls of Azuchi Castle not as a servant, not as a curiosity, but as Yasuke Dono, a member of the Koshigumi, Nobunaga's elite personal guard. The weight of the daisho on your hip has changed everything. It's a heavy, clanking, ever-present reminder of your new reality. You have a salary, a house, and the legal right to kill a man who insults you. It's the best job you've ever had. Your days fall into a new rhythm, one defined entirely by the whims and needs of your lord. You are, first and foremost, his personal bodyguard. This means you are a shadow, a 6.5-foot shadow. When Nobunaga holds court, you are there, kneeling in the corner of the vast audience hall, your hand resting on the hilt of your katana, your eyes scanning the faces of the visiting daimyo. You are a living, breathing security system. Your sheer presence is a deterrent, a silent warning. Joke 1. You're the reason every lesser lord who enters the room suddenly remembers to be extra polite. Nobody wants to be the guy who starts a diplomatic incident with Nobunaga's personal mountain. But you are more than just muscle. This is the mainstream historical fact. Nobunaga was a great patron of the arts, and his court was a center of high culture. He was a master of the chanoyu, the Japanese tea ceremony. This wasn't just about drinking a hot beverage, it was a profound political and philosophical ritual. And you are there for it. You sit, crammed into a tiny, perfect paper-walled tea room, while Nobunaga, the most feared man in Japan, performs the slow, graceful, meditative ballet of whisking green tea. He uses his priceless meibutsu, the celebrated things he collected, the simple, rustic tea bowls that were worth more than a castle. You, the African samurai, sit among Japan's most powerful generals and art connoisseurs, watching your lord discuss the finer points of a bamboo scoop. This is your new life, a surreal blend of brutal, sudden violence and exquisite, refined beauty. One day you are in the dojo sparring with a force that cracks wooden swords. The next you are standing guard as Nobunaga and his courtiers compete in an incense-smelling contest. You are a fixture. You are Yasuke, the lord's favorite. Nobunaga loves to show you off. You are the ultimate proof of his worldview. Historians still argue whether Nobunaga's patronage of you and the Jesuits was a sign of his modernity and openness, or if it was a calculated political tool. Was he trying to build a global enlightened court, or was he just slapping his conservative rivals in the face by elevating a peasant, Hideyoshi, and a foreigner, you, to the highest ranks? The answer, as with Nobunaga, is probably yes. You are his living symbol. When a new daimyo arrives, trembling to pledge fealty, he is brought to Azuchi. He is overwhelmed by the 7-story golden keep, by the European clocks and maps, by the sheer audacious ego of the place. And then, he sees you. A black samurai speaking Japanese wearing the 2 swords. The message is clear. My power is not just Japanese. My power is global. I am so powerful I can pull a giant from the other side of the world and make him my warrior. You are the living embodiment of Nobunaga's vision. And he likes you. This is the quirky tidbit that comes through in the records. He talks to you. He is endlessly fascinated by your old life. He asks you, again and again, about the animals of Africa. He wants to know about the lions, the elephants, the giraffes, which must sound like pure fantasy to him. He asks about the wars, the customs, the gods of your people. Joke 2. You're essentially running a one-man National Geographic special for the most powerful man in Japan. And you're doing it from memory, so you're probably fudging the details on how many horns a rhino really has. This makes you incredibly special. Nobunaga's other retainers are his subjects, his vassals, his tools. You're his friend. You are the one person in his entire domain who is not part of the suffocating, backstabbing, 1,000-year-old web of Japanese politics. You are an outsider. You have no family to promote, no rival clan you're secretly allied with. You are, in his eyes, the only man he can truly trust. Joke 3. You've become the court's favorite celebrity. The samurai are probably asking you for autographs, or more likely, just staring and whispering, "He's so tall." Do you think he eats a lot? You are given fine silks. You are invited to banquets. You are by all accounts living a life of honor and privilege that would be unimaginable to the man in chains you once were. You have a place at court. You have a master's favor. You are on top of the world. But the world you're on top of is 16th century Japan. It is a world of savage, sudden, and total betrayal. And you are standing right next to the #1 target. You are untouchable. You are the Lord's favorite. You are Yasuke Dono. But you are not a fool. You are a survivor, and survivors are, above all, observers. You've learned to read the subtle, dangerous language of this new world, and what you see in the eyes of the other samurai. It's not friendship. You see respect for your skill, yes. You see fear of your strength. You see deference to your position. But underneath that, you see a cold, simmering, and deeply human resentment. You are the ultimate outsider, and you have been given a place at the very center of their world. Think about who these men are. This is the mainstream historical fact. 16th century Japan runs on a system of hereditary, feudal loyalty. These are men whose grandfathers served Nobunaga's grandfather. They are from ancient, proud samurai families like the Ikeda, the Niwa, the Shibata. They have been training since they could walk, their entire lives a preparation for one thing: to serve their lord, to gain honor, and to advance their family's name. They compete fiercely for every scrap of their lord's attention. A single approving nod from Nobunaga is worth 1,000 koku of rice. Getting to serve him his sake at a banquet is a political victory. And then, there's you. You are the ultimate insult to their entire worldview. Nobunaga's meritocracy was already a sore subject. His most powerful general, Hashiba Hideyoshi, later Toyotomi, is a man they call Saru, monkey behind his back, a short, ugly man who was born a peasant, a commoner, who started as Nobunaga's sandal-bearer. And now he commands armies. They despise him for his low birth. But you are so much worse. You are not just a commoner. You are not even Japanese. You are a gaijin, a person from outside. You were, as they all know, a slave. You were the property of the southern barbarians. You were brought before their lord as a circus act, scrubbed like a dirty floor. And now you wear the two swords. You wear finer silks than many of them. You have your own house. You are in the Lord's private chambers, sharing jokes, listening to his plans, a position of intimacy they would kill for. You have leapfrogged 1,000 years of bloodline and tradition simply by existing. Joke 1. You're the new intern who on his first week was not only given a corner office but was also invited to the CEO's family barbecue. The senior VPs are not pleased. You hear the whispers. You're not meant to, but your survival depends on it. You walk past a shoji screen, a silent giant, and the polite conversation on the other side stops. Then a low murmur. Kurobozu, the black one. Gaijin, Yabanjin, barbarian. They question your honor. They question your training. They bow to your face, their foreheads touching the mat, and you know that behind their eyes they are dissecting your every barbaric flaw. And then there's the other, stranger layer to it. This is the quirky tidbit. Samurai culture, particularly the world of the daimyo and his pages, kosho, was steeped in the tradition of shudo, the way of the youth. This was a complex, ritualized, and totally mainstream system of pederastic relationships between an older, experienced samurai, the ninja, and his young, beautiful adolescent apprentice, the wakashu. It was part mentorship, part military training, and very often a physical, sexual relationship. This was the primary path to advancement for a young kosho. He would become his lord's favorite, and from that intimacy gain power and position. Historians still argue whether your relationship with Nobunaga, a man known to participate in shudo, had a sexual component. The records are completely silent. But that doesn't matter. What matters is that you, a 27-year-old, 6.5 foot tall, battle-scarred African giant, had completely hijacked this system. You had the intimacy, the favor, the access that all those beautiful 16-year-old samurai boys were competing for, but you got it through a route that was totally alien to them. Joke 2. You've completely broken the court's dating scene. You're the one person who has the Lord's ear, and you didn't even have to play by the established, incredibly complex rules of attraction. This creates a specific, potent, and very dangerous kind of jealousy. Joke 3. You can feel the tension. You walk into a room, and it's like you just scratched a priceless record at a party. The smiles are so tight they look like they're in physical pain. You are alone. You have no family here. No allies. No network. Hideyoshi, the monkey, has his own faction. The other generals have their vassals. You have one person. You have Oda Nobunaga. Your entire existence, your safety, your life, depends on the shadow of this one. Mercurial, brilliant, and terrifying man. As long as you are his favorite, you are the most protected man in Japan. But if that favor ever fades, you are a dead man walking, surrounded by 1,000 proud, jealous men who would be delighted to cut you down and call it justice. The surreal, gilded piece of Azuchi Castle with its tea ceremonies and incense games shatters. It was always a lie, a thin veneer of culture over a core of brutal, unyielding military power. And now, the machine is turning. Nobunaga is at the zenith of his power, but one great lingering shadow remains, the Takeda clan. For years, they were his most dangerous rivals, the only clan that truly threatened his ambitions, especially under their late, legendary leader, Takeda Shingen. Shingen is dead, and his son, Katsuyori, is faltering. Nobunaga has decided, with his characteristic lack of sentiment, that it is time to erase them from the earth. The call to arms goes out. The banners are raised. The castle, once a quiet palace, becomes a swarming hive of activity. Samurai are checking their armor. Ashigaru, foot soldiers, are polishing their pikes, and the Topogumi, musket squads, are carefully measuring gunpowder. You are part of this. You are fitted for your own gusoku, a full suit of Japanese armor. It's a bizarre and terrifying sight. A custom-made suit of lacquered steel plates, silk cords, and chainmail, all built to accommodate a 6.5 foot tall African. Joke 1. The armorer probably had to take your measurements 3 times. convinced he was doing it wrong before just shrugging and building the biggest damn chest plate in Japanese history. You march out. This is not the slow, chaotic tour with Valignano. This is an army. You are part of Nobunaga's personal guard, a wall of steel and menace around your lord. This is the mainstream historical fact. The 1582 invasion of the Takeda homeland, Kai, Shinano, and Suruga provinces was a massive multi-pronged campaign. Nobunaga didn't just send one army. He sent all of them. A 50,000-man force under his son Nobutada, allied with his brilliant, patient partner, Tokugawa Ieyasu. Nobunaga himself, with his personal guard, would follow, not to lead the charge, but to oversee the final total victory. This is your first true taste of Sengoku Jidai warfare, and it is nothing like you could have imagined. This is not a war of heroic one-on-one duels. This is total war, and Nobunaga is its master. His armies are not just samurai. They are vast, disciplined formations of Ashigaru, the low-born foot soldiers, armed with the two things that are winning him Japan: the long yari, pike, and the teppo, arquebus. You see the weapon that broke the Takeda cavalry years before at the Battle of Nagashino. You see the musket squads drill, firing in disciplined, rotating volleys, a crack, crack, crack of smoke and thunder that shreds armor and flesh. It's the sound of the future, and it is horrifying. The campaign is a rout. The Takeda, once so mighty, collapse. Their vassals defect, their castles surrender. Takeda Katsuyori, abandoned by his men, is cornered. You are there in the field, standing guard by Nobunaga's command post as the reports come in. Messenger after messenger, covered in mud and sweat, throws himself to the ground, panting out the news of another victory. And then the final report. Katsuyori and his heir have committed seppuku in the mountains. The Takeda clan is finished. Now comes the part that sears itself into your memory. The war is over, but the victory must be formalized. You witness the quirky and utterly gruesome tidbit of samurai tradition, the kubijiken, or head inspection. The heads of Katsuyori, his son, and his chief retainers, the ones who could be recovered, are brought to Nobunaga. They are not bloody, mangled trophies. They have been carefully cleaned by low-ranking soldiers, the hair tied up in a top knot, and they are presented on white wooden plaques, each labeled with the name of the fallen enemy. Nobunaga, with all the casual interest of a man inspecting a new set of tea bowls, nods. He identifies them. Ah, so, Katsuyori. Yes, this is Otobe. Joke 2. It's the single most metal and most disturbing boardroom meeting you've ever attended. Let's review the quarterly results. And, ah yes, the decapitated heads of the entire rival executive team. Historians still argue whether Nobunaga's legendary brutality, his burning of the monasteries at Mount Hiei, his total annihilation of rival clans, was the act of a sociopathic tyrant or the cold, calculated pragmatism of a unifier. Joke 3. He was the ultimate, the ends justify the means guy. His means just happened to involve a whole lot of fire and a truly upsetting number of severed heads. You, standing there watching him calmly sip sake while looking at his dead rival's face, probably aren't interested in the philosophy. You are just seeing the unvarnished, terrifying reality of the man you serve. This is what it means to lose in his world. The campaign is over. It is a total, staggering success. You return to Kyoto in triumph. Nobunaga is, for the first time, the undisputed master of central Japan. There are no rivals left. He is at the absolute, untouchable peak of his power. He has unified half the country, and the rest is poised to fall. He decides it's time to celebrate. He dismisses most of his army, sending them back to their home provinces. He, along with his inner circle and a small personal guard, which of course includes you, will stay in Kyoto to relax. He's earned it. He chooses his favorite, most convenient lodging in the capital, a comfortable, centrally located, and very lightly defended temple complex. Honoji. You are back at Honoji. The triumphant return to Kyoto has been a blur of celebration. Nobunaga is the undisputed master of Japan, and the mood is light, almost giddy. The Takeda are gone. The country is his. He's now busy planning his next final campaign. the conquest of the western domains. He sent his best general, the monkey Hideyoshi, ahead to besiege a castle, and he's ordered another of his top generals, Akechi Mitsuhide, to take his army and go reinforce him. Everything is going perfectly. Joke 1. Your boss is on top of the world. He's won the championship, and now he's just running out the clock on the final quarter. He's probably already planning the victory parade and sketching out designs for an even taller castle. The date is the night of June 20th, 1582, leading into the pre-dawn hours of the 21st. It's the middle of the rainy season, and the air is hot, sticky, and thick. A summer storm is raging, the sound of thunder and heavy rain drumming on the temple roof. This is the mainstream historical fact. Nobunaga is at Honoji with a skeleton crew. He's not in a fortress. He's in a temple, surrounded not by his army, but by his personal kosho, that's you, court officials, merchants, and tea masters. His total guard is maybe 100 men, most of whom are pages and attendants, not battle-hardened troops. He is completely suicidally confident. The night before, he had been showing off his quirky tidbit, his legendary Meibutsu tea collection. He held a massive all-night tea ceremony, parading his priceless ceramics, the ones worth more than provinces, for a crowd of fawning court nobles. You were there, of course, a silent giant in the corner, watching your lord at his most arrogant and refined. Now the party is over. The nobles are gone. The temple is asleep. You are on duty. Or perhaps dozing in your armor in an antechamber, the rain a loud lulling white noise. Then, a new sound cuts through the storm. It's not thunder. It's a sound you've been trained to recognize. The splintering of the main gate. A sharp, high-pitched kiai shout. The whist thump of arrows thudding into the wooden walls. And then, the crack, crack, crack of arquebus fire, so close it rattles your teeth. Joke 2. You're instantly awake. Your first thought is probably that some local daimyo got way too drunk and decided to pick a fight, which honestly, wouldn't even be the weirdest Tuesday you've had. But this is not a drunken brawl. This is organized. This is an army. The temple erupts. Paper shoji screens, so beautiful and delicate, are ripped apart as men shout in panic. You hear screams. You grab your spear, or perhaps you draw your katana, and you move toward your lord's chambers. The compound is already filling with soldiers, their armor black in the rainy darkness. Who is it? A peasant uprising? A rogue daimyo? A last, desperate remnant of the Takeda? A young kosho, his face pale with terror, runs past you, and he is screaming a name. But it's not a name you recognize as an enemy. He is screaming, Akechi-sama, Akechi Mitsuhide. Akechi. The name doesn't make sense. Akechi Mitsuhide is one of Nobunaga's most trusted, most senior generals. He's the man who was just given an army and sent west to help Hideyoshi. He's on your side. You burst into the central courtyard and you see them. Thousands of them pouring in, their armor soaked with rain. And you see their banners, the distinctive pale blue bellflower, Kikyo crest. It's true. It's Akechi's army, his 13,000 men. This isn't a battle. This is an extermination. Historians still argue with a feverish intensity about why. Why did Akechi Mitsuhide betray his master at the absolute peak of his power? Was he avenging a personal insult, a probably mythical story, where Nobunaga kicked him in the head? Was he a traditionalist, horrified by Nobunaga's destruction of monasteries and his embrace of barbarians like you? Was he trying to save the emperor, who he felt Nobunaga was about to depose? Was he just grabbing for power? No one knows. No one will ever know. All you know is that the man you were supposed to trust is here, and he is here to kill everyone, starting with your lord. The temple is already on fire, the rain doing nothing to stop the flames. There is no time to think. There is only reaction. The name Akechi is an axe blow to your brain, a fact so impossible it short-circuits everything. But your body doesn't care about why. Your body, trained for months in the dojo, trained for a lifetime of survival, knows only one thing: move. The temple is a tinderbox. The rain is just making the smoke thicker, a blinding, acrid fog that sears your lungs. The air is filled with a symphony from hell. The pop-pop-pop of wood splitting in the heat, the roar of the fire, the thwack of bullets, the screams of dying men, and the endless percussive kiai shouts of Akechi's army. You are a giant in a house of paper walls. You draw your katana. Your spear, the weapon you're best with, is useless in these narrow, smoke-filled corridors. This is a knife fight in a burning closet. You move toward your lord's chambers, the one place your body is programmed to go. You are a walking wall of death. Joke 1. You've gone from a quiet night of guarding a tea party to the middle of a burning mosh pit. The evening has taken a sharp, very stabby downturn. Akechi's men, expecting to slaughter sleeping pages, burst through a paper screen and run, quite literally, into you. They stop. For one flickering, fire-lit second, they freeze. You are the demon from their folklore, Oni, wreathed in smoke and flame, your black skin gleaming with sweat, your eyes wide, your katana a streak of silver. They are terrified. It's the last emotion they ever feel. Your training takes over. You are not a clumsy brawler. You are a bushi. Your blade is not a club. It is a part of you. You cut. You pivot. You thrust. Your height, your strength, they are overwhelming. You don't just kill them, you disassemble them. You burst into the central hall. It's a charnel house. Nobunaga's Kosho, his elite pages are fighting with a desperate, suicidal bravery. And this is the quirky tidbit. You are fighting alongside the most famous of them all, Mori Ranmaru. He is barely 18, famously beautiful, and the most beloved of all Nobunaga's attendants. He is also a blur of deadly, graceful motion, his two swords flashing as he holds off 3 men at once. You and he, the African giant and the perfect porcelain-skinned Wakashu, are an image of impossible, desperate loyalty. Then you see him, Nobunaga. He is not hiding, he is not running. This is the mainstream historical fact. Nobunaga, the master of Japan, did not die in his bed. He is in his sleeping robes, his hair unbound, but he has an yari in his hand, and he is fighting. He is wounded, an arrow sprouting from his shoulder, but he is a cornered tiger, his eyes burning with a rage that is hotter than the flames around him. He sees you. He doesn't shout a command. He just nods, a grim acceptance. You are here. Good. You take your place beside him. You, Ranmaru, his younger brothers, and a handful of other pages. This is it. The last stand. It's maybe 20 of you against an army. Joke 2. Akechi's men keep pouring in. It's like a party you desperately want to leave, but the guests just won't stop arriving, and they're all trying to kill you. You're giving this 0 stars on Yelp. You are a fortress of one, your long arms and heavy blade creating a circle of death around your lord. You are screaming now, a deep-chested roar from your homeland, a sound these Japanese soldiers have never heard. But it's hopeless. The sheer numbers are a tide that cannot be stopped. And then, the sound that changed the world. A crack from the garden. Not an arrow. An arquebus. A lead ball fired by a traitor smashes through the smoke. You see Nobunaga lurch. He drops his spear. He looks down. A dark, blossoming stain is spreading across the white silk of his robe. He is hit badly in the chest or stomach. Historians still argue whether he was hit by an arrow or a musket ball, or if he was simply so badly wounded by a spear thrust that he knew it was over. But the result is the same, the fight goes out of him. He knows, and you know, he is a dead man. But he is still Nobunaga. He will not be taken. He will not give Akechi the satisfaction of seeing him bleed out. And above all, he will not give him his head. Joke 3. In this world, losing a fight is bad, but having your head end up on a spike, labeled for all your enemies to see, is the ultimate L. Nobunaga is determined to avoid that final indignity. He's not about to become Akechi's new favorite paperweight. He looks at Mori Ranmaru. He gives his last order. He is to go into the back rooms and commit seppuku. And Ranmaru, his loyal page, is to set the fire to ensure that the temple becomes an inferno, a funeral pyre that will consume his body, his head, everything. Nobunaga stumbles, turning his back on the battle, and disappears into the flames. Ranmaru, his face a mask of terrible, beautiful grief, follows him. Your job just changed. You are no longer protecting Nobunaga's life. You are protecting his death. You are buying them the last few precious minutes they need. You turn to the doorway, the fire raging at your back, an army of traitors at your front. You plant your feet. You raise your bloody katana. You are the last line. You plant your feet. You are the last line. The fire is a living thing behind you, a furnace so hot it's blistering the paint on your own armor. The smoke is a black, solid wall, and through it, Akechi's soldiers are pouring in, their faces demonic in the orange light. You scream, a deep, guttural roar that is pure, undiluted rage. It is the sound of your old life, your African life, a sound of the savannah, and it rips through the high-pitched kiai of the Japanese. You are holding the doorway to the inner chambers. You are guarding the death of a king. Joke 1. You're holding the door against an army. It's the universe's most high-stakes real-life game of you shall not pass. And you're pretty sure you're not a wizard, but you're giving it your all. The first man comes at you, a Yari spear leveled at your chest. You don't meet it head-on. Your training takes over. You parry with your bloody katana, stepping inside his reach, using your height, and you bring your sword down. You are a machine. 2 more take his place. 1 has a sword, 1 a dagger. You pivot, kicking the dagger man in the chest, a move that is pure, barbaric brawling, not samurai kata, and it works. He flies backward, crashing into the men behind him. The swordsman lunges. You block, the steel ringing, sparks flying. You are too strong. You break his guard and he is gone. But this isn't a duel. It's an avalanche. For every one you cut down, 3 more scramble over his body. They are screaming at you now. Oni, Oni, the demon. Joke 2. Akechi's men are probably so confused. They're fighting a 6.5 foot tall black demon at the literal gates of hell, which is, honestly, a pretty accurate description of the situation. You are wounded. You don't know when it happened. A spear tip grazed your arm. An arrow is sticking out of your shoulder pauldron. You don't feel it. There is only the fire, the smoke, and the enemy. Then from the room behind you, you hear it. A single, choked cry. It's not a cry of pain. It's a cry of effort. And then, a sound that will haunt you forever. The thud of a body falling and the sharp, wet sound of a sword stroke. This is the quirky tidbit of this entire horrific ritual. Nobunaga is not dying alone. He is performing seppuku, but this act has 2 parts. The first is the cut, the agonizing horizontal slice across the abdomen. But the second part, the kaishaku, is an act of mercy. His chosen second, his kaishakunin, who historians still argue was almost certainly the young, beautiful, and utterly loyal Mori Ranmaru, is there with him. As soon as Nobunaga made the cut, Ranmaru, his own heartbreaking, would have swung his own katana, beheading his lord to end his suffering. That thud, that slice, that was the sound of Ranmaru, a teenager, performing the single most terrible and trusted act of loyalty in their culture. That was the sound of Oda Nobunaga, the great unifier, the demon king, the man who scrubbed you, named you, and made you a samurai, ceasing to exist. The man who gave you a name, a home, and a very sharp sword is now just a body in a burning room. Joke 3. This is a terrible performance review for a bodyguard. Your one and only client has just self-terminated. The era is over. The man who was going to remake Japan is gone, dead by his own hand in a burning temple, betrayed by his own man. This is the mainstream historical fact that Akechi Mitsuhide was not counting on. He needed Nobunaga's head. He needed to parade it through the streets to show the other daimyo that the king was truly dead, that he was the new power. But Mori Ranmaru and his younger brothers, who also committed seppuku by their lord's side, did their job. They had barred the doors and you had held the line. The fire, now an uncontrollable inferno, was their ally. It was consuming everything. Nobunaga's body, his priceless tea bowls, his armor, his head. All of it was turning to ash. Akechi would get his victory, but he would be denied his trophy. The roar of the fire behind you becomes a high-pitched scream. The great, curved temple roof, its heavy tiles superheated, is about to collapse. The heat on your back is no longer a blister, it's a solid, killing force. The soldiers in front of you see it too, and they back away, their greed for your head finally overwhelmed by their terror of being buried alive. The last thing you see from inside Honoji is the face of a traitor, Akechi's man, his mouth open in a scream as a wave of fire washes over the doorway. A massive, groaning crack echoes above you. The world gives way. The central beam, a piece of timber 1,000 years old, breaks. The entire roof caves in, a tidal wave of fire, tile, and smoke. You are at the edge. You are blown outward, not pulled in. You are thrown from the building as it collapses, an explosion of cinders and superheated air. You land, rolling on the muddy ground of the garden, your armor clattering. You are alive. You are, impossibly, alive. Honoji is gone. It is a funeral pyre. Your lord is gone. Your home is gone. Your entire world, for the second time in your life, has been utterly and totally extinguished. You're on the ground. Your ears are ringing, a high-pitched metallic shriek that blots out the sound of the rain and the fire. Your entire body is one vast, screaming bruise. You are covered in mud, in soot, and in the blood of other men. You taste ash. You push yourself up onto your elbows. Honoji is no longer a building. It's a mountain of fire, a collapsing, roaring pyre that is consuming your lord, his art, his pages, and his legacy. The roof is gone, a great black maw spitting embers into the stormy sky. Akechi's men are everywhere, but even they are keeping their distance from the inferno, their faces lit by the flames, their expressions a mix of triumph and confusion. You are alive. The realization hits you like a physical blow. You were at the epicenter of a betrayal that just decapitated the most powerful clan in Japan, and you, the Gaijin bodyguard, were thrown clear. Your armor is scorched, your shoulder is on fire from the arrow wound, but you are functional. The rage from the fight is gone, replaced by a cold, hollow shock. Your purpose is gone. Nobunaga is ash. Your job, your home, your name, it was all tied to him. Joke 1. Your entire career path just got, quite literally, incinerated. Time to update the old resume. Special skills include surviving. Akechi's men are running past shouting they aren't looking for survivors, they are looking for loot. This is the quirky tidbit. The betrayal was precise, but the aftermath is chaos. The 13,000-man army isn't a scalpel anymore. It's a sledgehammer, and it's smashing everything. They are ransacking the temple's outer buildings, looking for gold, for swords, for anything of value, and most importantly, for heads. They are desperate to find Nobunaga's, a prize that you know with a grim, hollow satisfaction they will never get. Your training, your instinct for survival, cuts through the shock. Akechi, the traitor, he has a 13,000-man army. You are one man. But you are not done. A new thought, a new duty, sharpens your mind. Nobutada, Oda Nobunaga, Nobunaga's eldest son and heir, a man you've guarded, a man you know. He is the new lord, he is the Oda clan, and he is also in Kyoto. This is the mainstream historical fact. Nobutada was not at Honoji. He was staying nearby at the Myokakuji temple with his own small retinue. He is the new target. Akechi's betrayal is only half complete if the heir survives. You have a new mission. It's not about revenge, it's not about honor, it's about duty. You are a samurai of the Oda clan, and the clan is not dead while Nobutada lives. You have to get to him. You rise. A 6.5-foot tall, soot-blackened, bloody armored African samurai. You are at this moment the Oni they always thought you were. You are a ghost from a burning building. Joke 2. You look like the final boss of a video game that's just been set on fire. Akechi's men, who are busy stealing cups, are not prepared for this. You find your katana, its blade still dark with blood, and you begin to move. You slip out of the Honoji compound, a shadow moving through the smoke. The streets of Kyoto are a living nightmare. The rain is lashing down. People are screaming, running from their paper houses, convinced the city is being invaded by demons, which isn't far from the truth. Akechi's troops are trying to form a perimeter, but it's chaos. You don't hide. You run. You are a one-man stampede. Samurai patrols see you coming, a giant covered in blood, and they just part. They let you pass, too stunned, too confused, or maybe just too terrified to stop you. You run toward Myokakuji. Every step is agony. Your body is screaming, but your mind is clear. Get to the air. Protect the air. But when you get there, the temple is empty. The gates are open. There are signs of a frantic sudden departure. They've fled. But where? Then you see it. A small group of Nobutada's retainers running, gesturing. They haven't fled from the fight, they've moved to it. They've fallen back to a more defensible position. Historians still argue whether this was the right move. Nobutada, with his own small force and a group of imperial court nobles who were with him, had decided Myokakuji was a fire trap. Just like Honoji, they retreated to the nearby Nijjo palace, also known as the Nijjo Gosho, a fortified residence with stone walls and a moat. It was a bunker, a place to make a stand, or perhaps a tomb. You follow. You are the last man, the straggler, the final piece of the Oda clan's defenses, running through the pre-dawn rain-soaked streets of the capital. Joke 3. You've just run a cross-city marathon, you're bleeding, you're on fire, and you've just found out the battle has been relocated. This is the worst morning commute of your entire life. You get to the walls of Nijjo. The Oda banners, the Moko crest are flying. The gates are barred. You shout, your voice a raw croak. Yasuke, open! Yasuke dono! A face, pale and streaked with rain, peers over the wall. They see you, the demon of Honoji, their lord's favorite. A cheer, thin and desperate, goes up. The gate cracks open, just enough. You slide in and the great wooden bar slams down behind you. You are inside. You are back with your clan. You look around. There are maybe 500 men here. And on the horizon, you can see the endless moving forest of Akechi's 13,000 spears. The second and final battle of the day is about to begin. You are inside the gates of Nijjo Palace. The great wooden bar slams home, and for a half-second there is silence. The rain, the distant shouts, the crackle of Honoji burning. It's all muffled by the solid stone walls. This is a real fortress, not a temple. But a fortress is only as strong as the army inside it. You look around. It's a skeleton crew, 500 men if you're being generous, and they are not all warriors. This is the quirky tidbit. You see, clustered around the main keep, a group of pale-faced men in impossibly expensive, voluminous silk robes. These are Kuge imperial court nobles, the ancient blue-blooded aristocracy of Kyoto. They were visiting Nobutada for tea or poetry, and now they are trapped in a siege. Some of them are holding spears, their knuckles white, their expressions a mask of pure, unadulterated terror. Joke 1. You're standing next to a guy who is probably the 10th generation descendant of famous poet, and he's trying to figure out which end of the spear is the pointy one. This is not the team. Then you see your new lord, Oda Nobunaga. He is his father's son, calm, proud, and utterly doomed. He sees you, the black ghost of Honoji, and he nods, a grim flicker of respect. You are a samurai of the Oda. You are here to die with them. You take your place on the wall. You are given a yari, the long spear, the weapon where your height is a terrifying advantage. And then Akechi's army arrives. It's not a trickle. It's a 13,000-man flood. They surround the palace, a sea of bellflower-crested banners. The rain is still falling, turning the ground to mud. There is no parley. There are no terms. Akechi knows he has to be fast. Hideyoshi, the monkey, is out west, and when he hears of this, he will turn his army around and come for Akechi's head. This has to be a cleanup. The assault begins. This is the mainstream historical fact. The Battle of Nijjo was a short, brutal, and hopeless siege. Akechi's men charge the gates, but they are also smart. They bring their teppo squads. A deafening, rolling crack of arquebus fire erupts, the lead balls thudding into the wooden gates and walls, kicking up stone splinters. Arrows rain down. You, on the wall, are the single biggest target. Joke 2. You're a 6.5 foot tall lightning rod for bullets. You're pretty sure you can hear the enemy arquebus captain just shouting, "Aim for the big one." No, the really big one. You swat arrows away with your spear shaft. You stab down at the men trying to scale the walls. You are a legend in that moment, a true Oni. And you are holding your small section of the wall all by yourself. But it's not enough. It's never going to be enough. Historians still argue whether Nobutada's choice to stand and fight was a final, brave act of defiance or a strategic blunder. He could have tried to flee, to escape into the mountains and rally his father's scattered armies. But he was his father's son. He was Oda, and Oda do not run. He chose to die here, a samurai, and to buy time for the rest of his clan to react. The gates splinter, the walls are breached. Akechi's men are pouring in. The Kuge, the poets, are cut down in their silks. The Oda samurai form a shrinking circle in the main courtyard, fighting back to back. It's a meat grinder. You are in the thick of it, your spear broken, your katana out, your voice raw from screaming. And then the order comes. The same terrible final order. Nobutada, seeing it is over, has retired to the inner rooms to commit seppuku. Joke 3. You have got to be kidding me, that's two. Two bosses in one morning. Your bodyguarding career is over. You're probably going to get a strongly worded letter from the Samurai Better Business Bureau. Just like at Honoji, he is not just dying, he is erasing himself, denying the traitor his head. The fight is over. The palace is now on fire, the flames mixing with the rain. You are surrounded knee-deep in the dead. You are the last one standing, a giant in a sea of enemies. Your body a roadmap of new wounds. Your katana is heavy. You are so tired. You block a thrust. You parry another. But you are too slow. A spear butt catches you behind the knee. Your leg buckles. You go down. In a second, you are dogpiled. A dozen men are on top of you, ripping your sword from your hand, binding your arms with rope. You are too valuable to kill. You are the Gaijin, the black giant, Nobunaga's famous pet. You are the ultimate trophy. They drag you, bound and bleeding, out of the burning palace, out of the slaughter, and they haul you before the architect of this entire nightmare. You are brought a captive to the feet of Akechi Mitsuhide. You are on your knees. The adrenaline that held you together, the rage that turned you into a killing machine, has drained away, leaving a vacuum that is now filling with a cold, vast, and bottomless despair. You are in the mud. The rain is still falling, a cold, miserable drizzle that mixes with the blood and soot caking your armor. Your arms are bound so tightly with rope that your hands are numb. Every part of your body is a unique constellation of pain. You are a captive. You are a prize. You are the trophy from the fall of the Oda clan. You are dragged through the chaotic streets, Akechi's men shouting in triumph, and thrown down in a courtyard. This is Akechi Mitsuhide's field headquarters, a command post hastily assembled from banners and camp stools. And there he is, the man who just destroyed the world. Akechi is not a snarling monster. He is a man in his mid-50s, known for his culture, his poetry, his intelligence, and his precise, almost fussy nature. He is looking down at you, his face unreadable, but his eyes, they are cold. His samurai are shouting, "Kill him. He is Nobunagako's favorite. He is the Kurobozu. Take his head. They are eager for your death. You are the last living symbol of the man they just murdered. You are the black demon who just killed a score of their comrades at Honoji and Nijjo. Taking your head would be a great, symbolic victory." Joke 1. You're kneeling in the mud, surrounded by men screaming for your execution in front of the guy who just killed your last two bosses. This is without a doubt the worst performance review of all time. You wait. You are a survivor. You have survived the hold of a ship, the auction block, the scrutiny of a warlord. You will survive this. You look up, meeting the traitor's gaze. Akechi raises a hand. The shouting stops. He is considering you. What is he seeing? He is a man of deep, profound tradition. This is the mainstream historical fact and the central mystery of this day. Historians still argue with a burning, unending passion about why Akechi did it. Was it a personal insult? Was he trying to seize power for himself? Or was he, as some believe, a deep conservative, a traditionalist who was genuinely horrified by Nobunaga's iconoclasm, horrified by the burning of ancient monasteries, and perhaps horrified by you? In his eyes, you are the ultimate perversion. You are everything that was wrong with Nobunaga's regime. You are a gaijin. You are not of samurai blood. You were, by his understanding, a slave, an animal, a beast from a land he couldn't even place on a map. And Nobunaga, in his arrogance and his rejection of all that was sacred and proper, had dressed you in silk, given you a house, a salary, and the sacred soul-bearing daisho of a samurai. He had made a beast a man. Akechi looks at you, not with the fascinated curiosity of Nobunaga, but with a cold, profound, and simple disgust. He speaks. His voice is quiet, measured. He is not angry. He is making a judgment. He is, in this moment, the new master of Japan, and he is deciding your fate. And this is what he says. This, the quirky, bizarre, and humiliating tidbit recorded by the Jesuit chronicler Louis Frois, who was in Kyoto at the time. Akechi says that you are not to be killed. Why? Because he explains to his men, you are not Japanese. You are a beast. You are an animal. The black man is an animal, he says. He is not a man and he knows nothing. He is not Japanese. Do not kill him. Joke 2. It's the single most backhanded compliment in history. Congratulations on surviving 2 sieges. You're clearly a terrifying killing machine. Unfortunately, you are also, in my professional opinion, a cow, so you're free to go. He is not being merciful. He is passing the ultimate sentence. He is unmaking you. He is stripping you of your rank, your honor, your name, your very humanity. You are not a samurai to be respected with a warrior's death. You are not even a man to be executed. You are an it. He gives his final order. Take him to the Nambandera, the temple of the southern barbarians, the Jesuit mission, the place where it all began. He is, with a cold, calculated precision, returning you. He is sending the gift back. He is turning you from Yasuke Dono, the samurai of the Oda clan, back into the property of the Portuguese priests. Joke 3. It's the 16th century equivalent of being dumped. And Akechi is not only saying it's not me, it's you. He's also personally driving you back to your parents' house. Your swords, the daisho that Nobunaga gave you, are taken. Your armor, scorched and bloody, is stripped from your body. You are left in a simple linen shift. You are bound but no longer a warrior. You are just a package to be delivered. You are hauled to your feet, a giant brought low, and you are marched one last time through the burning, rain-soaked streets of Kyoto. You have lost your lord, your home, your honor, and your name. You are once again just a man from Africa, a piece of property, and you have no idea what comes next. You are marched, one last time, through the ruined, rain-soaked streets of Kyoto. The journey is a blur of profound, soul-crushing humiliation. You are barefoot, in a simple linen shift, your arms still bound, your armor and swords gone. The samurai escorting you are Akechi's men, and they prod you, shoving you through the mud, their faces a mix of contempt and awe. You who were Yasuke Dono, you who wore the daisho, you who fought your lord's betrayer, you are now, by Akechi's formal judgment, a beast being returned to your zookeepers. You arrive at the Nambandera, the Jesuit mission. The gate is barred, the missionaries inside cowering in terror just like everyone else. Your escort hammers on the door, the sound a dull thud against the wood. Open. By order of Lord Akechi. The gate swings open, revealing the pale, terrified face of a priest. It's Nechi Soldo Organtino, the mission superior in Kyoto. He sees you. His jaw drops. He wasn't at Honoji. He didn't know you survived. And he certainly wasn't expecting you to be delivered to his doorstep like a misdirected, blood-soaked package. Joke 1. It's the 16th century equivalent of a delivery driver from a rival company showing up with your bloodied, defeated 6.5-foot tall package, and the note just says, "Return to sender," is an animal. The ropes binding your wrists are cut, you are shoved inside, and the gate slams shut, sealing you off from the burning city. You stumble into the quiet, familiar courtyard of the mission. The priests, your old brothers, gather around. They don't know what to do. You are not a samurai. You are not their property anymore. Or are you? Akechi's judgment has made you theirs again. You are a problem. You are a living, breathing, 6.5-foot-tall piece of evidence of their corrupting influence and their deep, intimate ties to the now dead and despised Demon King Nobunaga. You are a refugee. You are once again a servant. You are given water. Your wounds are cleaned, but not with the reverence due a warrior. You are given a simple black robe, the same kind you wore when you first arrived from Goa. The circle has closed. You are back where you started. But the world outside is still spinning. This is the mainstream historical fact. Akechi Mitsuhide's betrayal was a short-term success and a long-term cataclysmic disaster for him. His reign as the 13-day shogun is a historical joke. Nobunaga's generals, upon hearing the news, do not join him. They hunt him. Hideyoshi the monkey, in a feat of legendary speed, force marches his entire army back to Kyoto. At the Battle of Yamazaki, just 13 days after the Honoji incident, he smashes Akechi's army. Akechi, fleeing, is killed by peasants in a bamboo grove. His head, the trophy he was denied, is put on a spike. You are nowhere. You are in the mission, hidden, as this final epic battle for Japan rages just outside the city walls. And then, silence. Hideyoshi is the new master. He, too, is friendly with the Jesuits. At first. But what about you? This is where your story, the factual, recorded story of your life, simply ends. The ink dries up. This is the quirky tidbit. It is not a thing, but a total absence. Louis Froys, the Jesuit chronicler who was obsessed with you, who recorded your height, your age, your skin color, your scrubbing, your conversation with Nobunaga, and Akechi's final insulting judgment, never mentions your name again. Not once. It's the most profound and baffling disappearance in the historical record. Historians still argue whether you were quietly shipped back to Macau or Goa with Valignano when he finally left Japan a few years later. It's the most logical and most merciful theory. You were too famous. You were Nobunaga's black samurai. You were a ghost. You couldn't stay in Japan. Joke 2. You're a celebrity who's just been canceled, and your former agent is trying to sneak you out of the country before the paparazzi, who are all, in this case, heavily armed samurai, find you. Did you live out your days in Goa, an old man, telling unbelievable stories to young priests about the time you were a samurai in a golden castle? Did you find a quiet corner of the world in Macau? Did you perhaps find your way onto another ship and somehow, against all odds, make it back to Africa? No one knows. There are no other records. No grave, no letter, no ship's manifest. You, the man, are gone. You have faded from history. But the legend? The legend is just being born. The story of the Kura Samurai, the African who wore the daisho and fought for the Demon King. That story will be told and retold for 450 years. You don't know any of this. You are just here, in the garden of the Nambandera. The rain has stopped. You can hear the sounds of a city trying to piece itself back together under a new master. You are no longer Yasuke Dono. You are not even the beast. You are just a survivor, in a black robe in a country that is not yours, a man with no future, and a past that no one in the world would ever believe. Joke 3. Your life has been a non-stop, insane, unbelievable ride, and now the ride has just stopped. You're just standing in the gift shop and you don't even have any money. You are a mystery, the man who was, for one brief, impossible burning moment, a samurai. And so your part in this story, it just dissolves. The sharp metallic clang of the sword and the roar of the fire begin to fade, replaced by the soft, rustling sound of a bamboo garden, somewhere in Kyushu, perhaps. The adrenaline is long gone, and the ache in your bones is just a simple fact of life. No longer a battle wound, just a memory. The air is cool and clean. You are safe. And you are, for the first time in your entire adult life, no longer an actor in the great, terrible play. You are just an observer. The page is turned and your name is not written on the next one. That must be a kind of peace. The world moves on, as it always does. The wars continue, the lords rise and fall. But you are simply present. You can sit and breathe and watch a cloud drift over a distant mountain, and no one expects anything of you. You are no longer a giant or a demon or a samurai or a beast. You are just a man, resting. And as you rest, the story, your story, becomes a whisper, a rumor, and then a legend. It's a story that will be found again, centuries later, a single, impossible thread in a vast, complex tapestry, a story that makes people stop and wonder and look up into the past, searching for you. But you are not there. You are at peace. And it is time now for you to sleep.